Your mother took money that she had been saving for you from your paycheck.
So that I could get out on my own again and get an apartment. We ended up yelling at each other.
I asked her at least 5 or 6 times to just please be quiet.
She kicked me out at that point then too, so.
Well, that's nasty. It seems to me that rather than picking a fight with her, you should be proud of her.
This is Judy Justice. Shanice Eckstein is suing her mother, Jessica Lawrenson, for stolen money and assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3112, Eckstein versus Lawrenson.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss Eckstein, the defendant is your mom,
Yes.
and there are several parts of your complaint, but the primary part of your complaint is that your mother took money that she had been saving for you.
Yes, ma'am.
And refused to give it to you when you left her home.
Yes.
And mother says that you owed her that money she doesn't deny that she saved money for you, it was your money, but that she says that you didn't contribute as you should have to the household when you were living there, and she has a counterclaim, and that counterclaim is that while you were living there, your cats caused some damage to her sofa.
Yes, correct.
By the way, if you take a look at each other, it's so funny for a stranger to you, look at you, and you can look at your mom and see what you're going to look like in a while. I'm looking at your face. You don't see it.
No, ma'am, and I don't want to.
Well, I'm just telling you from a stranger's perspective, sometimes my children don't see the same thing that I do, and I don't see it all the time. But I looked at the two of you, and it's...
We've gotten it a lot. It happens. It sure does.
It does it?
It does. It has.
It does? And your mom probably likes it when somebody says, oh, is that your sister?
She probably does.
She probably does. Okay, so right now, you and your mom are on the outs. That may be forever. It may not be forever. Certainly, from what I read of your complaint, when you hit a bad spot in your life, you went back to your mom.
That's false. This was the only time that I'd actually done that.
When you hit a bad spot, I just said one spot.
Yes, ma'am.
When you hit a bad spot in your life, you went home to your mom.
Yes.
And she let you come home.
Yes.
First, tell me a little about yourself, Miss Eckstein. How old are you?
I'm 26. I am a branch manager at a financial place. I do taxes and loans, so pretty standard.
Did you graduate high school?
I did. I graduated high school. I did 2 years at the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. Didn't finish there, but still love art, you know.
And how old were you when you left home?
I was 18.
And where did you go?
I went to the dorms where I was living there for school for a bit.
Okay. Your mom, I assume, since she has younger kids, that they're your half-siblings.
Yes.
Okay. How old are your other children?
They are 4, 5, and then I have a 17, an 18, and then 26.
Okay. When you went off to college, you got student loans to do that?
Yes.
And you were there for a couple of years and left. Tell me
Yes.
why you left school.
I was not doing well mentally. I actually started there living in the dorms and then coming back home. At the time, it was about a half-an-hour drive. I worked in my hometown and then I went to school in Milwaukee. So it was about a half-hour drive. I'd come back on the weekends and work. In that process, I would stay at her house on the weekends, but I wasn't able to continue to do that actually because she kicked me out at that point then too. So this is reoccurring.
So that would make you about 20.
At that time, I think I was 19 and a half-ish going on, around, close.
Close to 20. And you had a falling out with your mom then?
Yes.
Okay, not important as
Right.
Not important as to why. And then you were on your own. Tell me when you went back to your mom's house and under what circumstances?
So in April of 2023, I lost my job due to them closing offices. So I just wasn't able to.
Were you continuously working from the time you were 20?
Yes.
And you left school?
Yes, not the same job, but yes.
But yes, and you were living by yourself?
Yes.
And paying your own rent?
Yes.
You have a car?
Yes.
Buy it yourself?
No, but I guess technically it wasn't a loan, but it was from like a family that I was paying them. So yes.
Okay.
Title's in my name, yes.
Yeah, so you bought it. So when you were 20, you were on your own, self-supporting.
Yes.
But not bad. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Not bad. Today's day and age, that is a big not bad to be 20 and on your own.
Yeah.
So you lost your job.
Yes. So essentially I was working at this job since 2020, I believe it was, so about 3 years at this point, and they decided they were going to close all of the surrounding offices where I was and then the ones around it. So I didn't really have many options. So they gave me severance. I left. I was working on severance, or, I was waitressing on the side getting severance, and then I also received unemployment during that time as well to just continue with my rent that I had with the lease.
Okay. And then?
So, I'm sorry. And then I went, I was, getting unemployment. It started to short out a little bit around August. It was getting a little bit difficult to pay my rent. So I decided that it would be easiest to not do that anymore. I moved in with my mother, asked if she could help me at that time of need. Yes. So,
And she said yes.
And she said yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So tell me, so you moved back home with your mom, and I assume between 2 and 4 siblings.
Yeah, well, there was 2 originally. One is in college right now, and then the other one ended up moving back as well.
The 17-year-old.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it was back home
Yes.
with the 4 and 5-year-old.
As far as I know, yes.
Is that right?
Correct.
And you lived there with your husband?
Correct.
And 4, 5, and 17-year-old.
Yes.
So you moved back in April?
No, I lost my job in April, moved back around August. So it was, the news happened in August that it was going to be an eviction otherwise. So I realized that I wanted to avoid that, obviously, on my record. So I reached out to her in a moment of panic. She helped me out. I had my stuff moved in within days.
Great.
Shanice Eckstein claims her mother, Jessica Lornson, assaulted her and stole money she received from Shanice. Jessica is countersuing for the cost of a couch.
Okay. According to you, the deal was that you would work, which you did.
Yes.
Got another job.
Yes.
You moved in August. When did you get another job?
Right away, it was actually, I moved in like halfway through August, somewhere near September. So I got a job immediately on, it was September 19th was my first day.
Are you still there?
Yes.
What kind of work is it?
Taxes and loans.
That's what I thought you said. And you started to give your mom money from your paycheck.
Immediately.
For?
To save for me so that I could get out on my own again and get an apartment.
How come you didn't put it in a bank?
I should have. Hindsight, but my bank was out in Fond du Lac, so it was just a far drive, and my work issued me a payroll card, so that's what I was using at the time, and she actually insisted that I give her the money rather than, so that I can't have access to it, basically, because she thinks that I wouldn't have the ability to not spend it, basically. So that was the point.
Okay, and you were saving the money for her.
Correct.
How much did you save for her?
We saved, I think there was $1,800 in there. And I did ask her several times to go and open up a bank account.
Okay, but you said you saved $1,800. That was $1,800.
That's
was it in a
incorrect.
bank account?
No, I had it set aside in an envelope that said Shanice's savings on it.
So it's somewhere between $1,800 and $2,500.
I have it actually in my evidence. I have all my pay stubs, and then I also have all of my bank statements showing when I pulled money out. That all add up to $2,600. And then I also have my, there was also like a note that I kept in my phone to save every time that I pulled out and gave her money so that I could keep track of it. So.
Okay. Do you have any documentation of how much money she gave you?
It was written on an envelope at home. I don't have
But
that.
the answer is no.
No.
Okay. So I'd like to see
Yes, ma'am. Give me 1 second.
from your phone. That would be most helpful.
I don't have it on my phone. It's right here. So this is the beginning of it. This is the savings. And then throughout, you'll get the bank statements first. And then right after, immediately, is all of my pay stubs.
Savings at Mom's, I have $2,300.
That's because she also borrowed $200 from me for, I'm assuming, my brother's car payment at the time. I also have that in text messages of her borrowing that.
Well, let me see the text
Yes,
message
ma'am.
of that, please. Yes, you remember borrowing $200 from her?
So I had asked her, yes.
Yes, you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. That's $2,500. Okay. Then there came a time when you had a problem.
Yes.
Tell me when that was.
I left her house on the night of, it was November 24th. I came back on November 25th around 11:30. I went out to see some friends in Fond du Lac. So she actually sent me with some plates for Thanksgiving to give to my friends. So everything was all cordial and fine at the time of me leaving on Friday night. came back on Saturday night, and initially it started with a text message I sent my brother. I asked him if he wanted to split a pizza. I was coming home, just to hang out with him. He told me he wasn't home. So I texted my mother and I asked her where's Joe? And she told me that he was out with friends, whatever, but she was being very short with me. There's just very short responses. I was asking her if she had a problem. She said no. I said, okay. So I got home and she had an attitude with me still. So I addressed it. I said, what's the problem? And it ended up raising voices. We ended up yelling at each other.
Okay.
Yes.
So stop. So tell me what happened. Why were you annoyed with her?
So in the text messages, I had asked her, it was midnight, and I had asked her if she had been at her friend's for a couple of days, why she couldn't have ate before she came home, because we had the little one sleeping, and my significant other sleeps out in the living room because of just sleeping arrangements with the little kids. And I asked her that, and she said, I don't know what your problem is. And then when she got home, it just turned into something more.
I don't understand what you're...
May I say something?
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not following you.
So she texted me and asked where Joe was.
She left on a Friday.
Yep. To go up to Fond du Lac.
And she was coming home on Saturday.
Correct.
What time?
She texted me, it was about 11:30, saying that she was about 15 minutes out.
11:30 in the evening.
Correct.
So she gave you a heads up that she was out. She had her own key, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's fine.
Yes.
And then she said she was hungry. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so she said she was hungry, and your response was, why didn't you eat with your friends? Mm-hmm. Because why you want to eat when you come home?
Yeah, my boyfriend does get up at 4:30 in the morning, and she knows that. So I just thought it was like, why couldn't this be taken care of before you came home instead of at midnight? Because it kind of disrupts the house, I guess.
You must have had a bad day with somebody that day. That's not something that I would actually say to one of my children. I'm just letting you know.
Well, right.
I'm just letting you know. You might have just had a bad day. Who was this?
This is my mother-in-law, Diane.
I mean, she had somebody who was responsible. She texted you that she was coming home. She clearly knew that you would be up if she texted you, because you probably stay up late.
Right.
And sometimes more than I used to get. I'm on my way home 15 minutes out. What? I would say, what kind of medication are you on? Telling me 26 years old and tell me.
We've just had talks before, about just the times of arriving at home and, with the kids sleeping and Josh in the living room. It was just, I think, more of just a respect thing. That was all.
But not a big deal.
No.
Doesn't sound like a big deal to me. Mm-mm. So then what happened when she got home?
So she came in the house and she said, when she opened up the door.
No, look at me.
When she opened up the door, she said, what's your problem when she first walked in?
Well, what had you responded to her? Had you said to her, why didn't you eat with your friends? Had you texted that to her?
I texted that to her. Yeah.
Well, that's nasty. Okay. So she came in, and she said, what's your problem? Mm-hmm. And then?
And she kept getting louder, and I asked her at least 5 or 6 times to just please be quiet. The little ones were sleeping.
Is that the way it went? I mean...
That is the way it went.
Shanice Eckstein is accusing her mother, Jessica Lornson, of stealing her money while they lived together. Jessica is countersuing, claiming Shanice's cats ruined her couch.
Okay. She was getting louder because you were saying what?
She just kept saying, what's your problem? What's your problem? Why are you angry? Like, what's your problem? And it kept getting louder, and I asked...
And what did you answer? Just a second. So what did... She asked what your problem was, because it was a curt sort of text. And what did you respond to her?
I just asked her to lower her tone at first, and it just kept escalating and escalating.
No, but did you answer her?
I did not.
Why?
Because I answered her in the text message, that's all.
That's incorrect.
What did you...
I just said, why can't you eat before you come home? I know it's
just a second. Well, that I know, but now she's home, and she says to you, what's your problem?
I just think it's just how she approached me, that's all, ma'am. I don't...
Had you had a fight with your boyfriend?
No, we actually get along really well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then it escalated, is that right?
Yes.
And you left?
Yes. Well, actually, I would like to also mention that they were both awake in the kitchen, in the living room, watching TV when I got home. They were both still awake, actually.
Both your mom and her boyfriend?
Yes, both my mom and her boyfriend were awake. The kids were sleeping, but they were out in the living room with the dogs and everything. Everyone was hanging out. That's the setting. And I would also like to note that my 17-year-old brother was also out and not even returned home yet, was driving her car at the time. I came back at a reasonable time, let her know with my own car. So that's setting the scene, clearing that up.
Is there anything that your daughter just said that is
Yes, Josh
inaccurate?
was actually sleeping on the couch until she came in the first, like when it started getting loud, he woke up.
She said he was out.
No, my son was out. My 17-year-old
Your
was out
17-year-old
Correct.
was out. Where was he?
at a friend's. He was hanging out.
Was he
there.
coming home?
Yes,
So your daughter came home before he did.
correct.
How do you get along with your mother's boyfriend?
He's a really nice guy, actually. I'm very happy that he is around her. I was hoping that it would make her a little bit of a better person, but I do like him. He's a good guy.
Now, going over the numbers, Miss Lawrenson, you saved $2,500 of your daughter's pay, and that was your understanding that you were saving it for her. You indicated it was in an envelope. It was an envelope with her name on it. She left. I don't care what the circumstances were of her leaving. That's her money.
Right. I did ask her, the original agreement when she moved in was to contribute to groceries.
No.
Contribute to groceries to help out with like household stuff. Our utility bills did go up, and I had to talk with her out in our garage, asking her if she can contribute a little bit. I literally live week to week, paycheck to paycheck. And I asked her if she'd help me. She said she would.
Okay, but you asked her to help you. She never did. She just gave you money to save for her.
Correct.
Well, then you owe her $2,500. That's her money. That's her money. That's not a contract. Can you help out with the groceries? Can you help out with the utility bills? That's not a contract. I'm going to save your money for you so you can move out and be on your own. That's a contract. So you have to give her back her money. Money owed for damaged property. You've got one couch,
Correct.
and it's a leather couch.
Correct.
Have you had that couch since you had your 4- and 5-year-old?
Yes.
So you have a 4- and 5-year-old that use that couch and sit on that couch and play with that couch. Now I want you to show me a picture of how you say her cat or cats destroyed the couch.
Okay. There is these four here. And it's on the arms, on each of the arms, and then on the bottom footrest.
No, this is a worn couch.
I know the
That's
seats are, yes.
Oh, come on. What, are you kidding me? Miss Lawrenson, all I can do is suggest to you that you keep your fingers crossed that your 17, 18, 4- and 5-year-olds turn out as articulately and independently as your 26-year-old. I wish you good luck with that, but it seems to me that rather than picking a fight with her, you should be proud of her. She's been on her own for a very long time, taking care of herself, seemingly responsibly, and you were short with her. You were short with her that day. It was an unloving, that text to her about why can't you eat with your friends was an unloving, non-maternal response. You understand?
Yes.
Good. So you owe your daughter $2,500. She owes you nothing. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I feel that I didn't get to speak on everything and that I wasn't heard.
Honestly, very grateful.
I was honest in my statement and had all my evidence.
Just very grateful and ready to be done with all of this. Wiping my slate clean, absolutely done.
Just if she would have read all like the details that I had with the dates, the times, just things that Shanice and I have been through in the past.
Probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done, but I had to do it. So we did it, and we're here, and I'm done.
She owes me more money, $500 for an electric bill that she never paid me.
She never loaned me any money in the first place, so she's holding on to something that doesn't exist, and that's unfortunate for her.
It hurts. It does.
Because it's been a long time coming. It's been years of her putting me down and just being the thing that stands in my way of my full potential, and I don't know what the reason is.
I don't want nothing to do with her.
Finally, I had to just stop because I have a life to live.
I've given it a lot of thought.
I hope she lives the best life she can.
No, she's burned the bridges.
I hope I never have to cross paths with her again.
I was really impressed by that young woman.
Yeah, seemed like she had it all figured out from a pretty young age, responsible, taking care of herself.
Paid her rent, bought a car,
Yeah.
paid it off, texted her mother, I'm on the road, I'll be home in 15 minutes.
Yeah, overly accommodating and understanding. It's just unfortunate. I know she probably, all she wanted was her mother to acknowledge all of those things as positives, and having a daughter that accomplish that much at such a young age.
Yeah.
I'd want my parents to acknowledge and celebrate that, and I feel like she didn't get that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah. At least she got her money back, though.
You got out of the car and he punched you.
Absolutely. He proceeded to keep pounding on me.
There is no indication here from you to the police that he ever put his hands on you.
He beat me up.
Be careful. I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
This is Judy Justice. Lucretia Gaines is suing her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, for assault and a false arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3030, Gaines versus Francis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gaines, who is this?
My witness, my twin sister, Lucinda Gaines.
And your sister is married but in the process of divorcing the defendant.
Actually, they're already divorced.
When were you divorced?
August 18th, 2022.
Okay. The events surrounding this case happened in November of 2020.
Yes.
Each one of you claim that they were assaulted by the other. In November of 2020, your sister and the defendant were having trouble in their marriage. That be a fair statement?
Yes.
And your sister had complained previously to you that the defendant was trying to get her in trouble, alleging that she assaulted him.
Absolutely.
So on November the 8th, you receive a call from your sister.
No, we was already on the phone, Your Honor.
So you were on the phone with your sister.
Yes.
And I want you to relay the conversation that you had with your sister on that date.
Well, we were just sitting there chatting like we always do. We were just laughing, talking about her schoolwork. I was talking about my schoolwork. We both had tests coming up, so we were just relating to each other in that manner that we always do every day.
Okay, let's go. Move it along.
Anyway, all of a sudden I heard, after an hour of talking to her on the phone, I overheard him say, "Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops." And I was like,
You heard him say, let's fight.
"Let's do this without the cops. We could fight right now. We could
Just a
fight
second.
right."
I want to be very clear because Whitney is taking, let's do this without
The police.
the police. That you remember.
That I remember.
Don't speak. Let's do this without the police. And what's the next thing you heard him say?
They just started arguing, so.
Just a second. Would you go back, Whitney, please, and tell me what the plaintiff said? She said that he said two things.
Yes, let's fight. Let's do this without the cops.
Let's fight.
Saying that to my sister.
Shh. Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one was it? You said, let's do this without the police. That's one. Or let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one did you
I
hear?
overheard him say both things to my sister, and I just hung up after
What
that.
both things?
He said, I didn't have no idea he was there. I said, "Cinda, who's that?" She said, "Dwight." I said, why, what's going on? And then I just hung. She was
What's
like, "Oh,
going on?"
Yeah, and I just hung up. I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna hang up."
Why?
Because they was husband and wife. Maybe it was just something they was just going through. I didn't know.
Now, just a second. Let me explain something to you. I'm beginning to suspect what you're telling me is a whole lot of who shot John. You're on the phone with your sister. You're talking about tests like you're talking about every day, blah, 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 blah. Then you hear something that would cause me concern. You hear, let's fight. Let's do this
Without the
police. And according to you, what you said to me was, so I just hung up.
I said, "Cinda, I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call you back." She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle this."
Just a second. Don't speak.
Yes.
Let's go through it again because now we're getting a different story. Let's do this. Let's do this without the cops. And then what did you say to her and what did she say to you?
I asked her, "Who was that in the
You
background?"
said, who was that in the background?
And she said, "Dwight." I said,
Dwight.
"Oh, I thought he didn't be there anymore."
Okay.
And so she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna just call you back." So I said, "Okay."
Okay. She said, oh, I'm going to handle it. I'll call you back. So you didn't just hang up. Just a second. You didn't just hang up.
No, I didn't.
You had a
I
continued
didn't really want to
conversation.
hang up, but I hung up because she
You
told
didn't have You didn't just hang up. You had a conversation with your sister, and your sister said, I'm going to handle it. That's what you said she said to you.
Absolutely. After 20 minutes, I called. So I felt like they got into a fight. Why I felt that way, because
I don't care why
he had her
just a
arrested.
Second. Just a second. I don't care why you felt that way.
Yeah. I don't
care what you felt that way.
Because he got her arrested on October 27th, 2020 for assault. I had no idea. I was calling her.
So we had her arrested in October for domestic violence.
Yes, 2020.
And then so a month before, he had her arrested for domestic violence. What happened to that case? Do you know, Miss Gaines? Do you know? The answer is yes or no.
No.
But you know he had her arrested. Okay, so now we're in November. Your sister has clearly allowed him back into the house, right? She didn't say, it's Dwight, he doesn't belong here, I'm going to call the police, because according to you, she's having a pleasant conversation with you. And he's talking, who is that Dwight? Oh, he's here. So you went to your sister's house. Mm-hmm. You didn't call the police because you were worried. You went over to your sister's house. Now I want you to tell me exactly what happened. Be careful, because you know, I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
Yes.
What you're about to tell me, I've heard 100 times, all different kinds of versions, but certain things make sense and certain things don't. Do you understand? So now I'm going to...
I thought the police would be there by the time I got there because my sister told me...
I don't care what you thought. She told you what?
She told me she was going to go to jail and I just...
Oh, just a minute. We're getting a lot more into this conversation now. Hold on. First we started with I hung up. And then you said, my sister says to me, when did
when I called back, she said...
Just a second. So you called back and you got her on the phone.
I said,
okay.
Lucretia Gaines claims her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, assaulted her and lied to the police. Dwight is countersuing, claiming he defended himself from Lucretia's attack.
So you waited 20 minutes and you called her back.
Yes.
And you did, in fact, get her on the phone.
Yes, and that's...
Just a second. Now, I want you to go back to what she told me 4 minutes ago with I called.
I did.
And she didn't answer.
She did not answer.
After 20 minutes, I stay home. After 20 minutes, I called. I felt they got into a fight. Why I felt that way? Because he had her arrested. I was just scared.
You called and called. So now you called.
Halfway there, she answered the phone.
You called and she answered.
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me about that conversation before you went over there. I said to her, and she said to me, let's go.
I'm going to jail. She said, well, I'm going to jail now because he called the cops. And then I said, oh, okay, well, because I just felt like she was going to go to jail because she got arrested.
I don't care what you felt.
Anyway, I was only going to get my nephew.
You called her and she said, I'm going to go to jail.
She said he called the cops, so I think
he called the cops. Because
he
had a restraining order against her.
Protective order.
Right. And clearly something happened in that 20 minutes between the time you were talking about your tests and the time you got her back on the phone that suggested to you that something had transpired when she said, now I'm going to go to jail. So you went over there because you knew about the protective order because you knew she had gotten arrested in October. So now you go over there to do what?
To grab my nephew, because last time I went when she couldn't go back to her home that he moved in with her, he didn't even feed my nephew. And that's what I was afraid of.
Just a second. Is that their child?
No.
You went over there to get your nephew.
Yeah.
Now, what happened when you got there?
When I got
slowly, because right now you see, it doesn't go well.
I know.
You understand?
Understood.
Okay. So now you go over there.
When I got to their home, the defendant was standing outside. I finally pulled up. I saw no cops. So I asked him, why you keep calling the cops on my sister? That's when he took it upon himself to hit me in my face, knock me off the curb, because I guess it needed to fit his narrative. Come to find out, he called the cops and told the cops that my sister called me over there to fight him. Why would I fight for my sister? I shouldn't have went over there, but I did because I was worried about my nephew. She told me to. She asked me to get him the last time. She was like, can you go to the house and grab my nephew?
You left that out 5 minutes ago.
Sorry, because it was so much. And it had been so long ago.
Well, that's why you're supposed to bring a case as soon as you can after the event. The reason I assume you didn't is because COVID struck and they didn't dismiss both of your cases until recently.
Yeah.
So neither one of you could have come to civil court. I assume that that's why you waited 2 years. I really don't care. Now, that's what you say happened, that you came over there and got out of the car and calmly said to him, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister?
Yes.
That's what you remember you said to him.
Yes.
Calmly. Why do
really
you
calmly, really agitated because I was home doing my own thing, you know, and it was
Well,
just...
I want you to tell me what happened. You got out of the car. Clearly, you're bigger than he is.
Exactly.
Clearly, you're bigger than he is. So is your sister. You got out of the car, and now you're agitated. So you didn't just ask him. You said, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister? And he punched you.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
and knocked me off the curb. I was stuck under the car where he proceeded to keep pounding on me in my head. And I almost lost consciousness, which I did lose consciousness. My hands was all cut up. I have proof from trying to cover the blows, but I had nowhere to move because of...
Just a second. What part of your hand was all cut up?
Both of my hands, because I was trying to hold it, because I was on the concrete.
Just a second. Your knuckles on both hands were cut up. Mm-hmm. That's not a defensive wound.
Those are?
No. That's not. No, dear. That's not a defensive wound. This is a defensive wound. This is from hitting somebody.
But I'm trying to grab my hoodie down so he could stop punching me in my face. So that's what was happening because I was trying to.
I still don't understand why you got.
I don't know how.
I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know whether you're going to show me. I'm going to look at all your proof. I'm just examining you first since there are cross complaints here. You're trying to speak over me.
Sorry.
Yeah, clearly you're not intimidated by your surroundings. That's her version of the events. She came over to the house and she asked you why you keep calling the cops on my sister. And you punched her and kept punching her until she almost lost consciousness. Now, you want to tell me your version of these events?
Okay.
How long, by the way, had you been in the apartment with her sister?
6 or 7 years.
No. You had her arrested in October. So clearly she was arrested and she was out of the house. Is it your house or her house?
Her house. She wasn't out the house.
So she was arrested and you were both still living in the house together?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Since October?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were there and she was there?
Same way, Your Honor.
Same way?
Yes.
She was released by the police and you were there, she was there, and her son?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes, it's a partial.
Don't speak.
Okay.
So when you said, what's Dwight doing there, you clearly didn't know that they were still living together.
No.
Good. So now you tell me your version of the events of November 8th, 2020. Tell me what happened.
Okay. Lucinda was keep coming at me.
How did she keep coming at you?
Like coming up in my face, like she want to fight with me. And I never want to fight at all.
That is not true.
If you say one more word, I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
That wasn't me. That was her.
Oh, you're easy. You're going to be gone. Did you call the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you call the police before Miss Gaines got there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so now you called the police, and clearly she heard it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she said to you, I'm going to get arrested. That's what you said.
Because it was a...
Did you say something?
Lucretia Gaines has accused her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, of assaulting her and lying to the police. Dwight is countersuing Lucretia, claiming she assaulted him.
So you called the police and you went outside.
I went outside first before I called the police.
You went outside and called the police from outside?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
When I called the police, I stepped down to the sidewalk and I was there waiting for the police to come. I heard a car speed come around, hear her yelling, I hope you're not calling the cops. I said, of course I'm calling the cops. She pulled over to the side and come up towards me, ready to fight with me. I never want to fight. I turned my head around. She was already there in front of me, sizing me up, and I just make a mistake and look around. And by the time I made that mistake and look around, she knocked me over.
And?
I saw her about to hit me again. When I hit her, she fall, and I run off, try to escape. She get back up and running me down. I couldn't run no more because I was going towards the hospital direction where I was going. When she caught up with me, the cops turned up.
Okay. May I see the police report, please?
I have one.
Well, it's practically impossible to determine which one of you instigated the physical part of this altercation. Each of you claimed that the other threw the first blow. Listen carefully to what I'm saying. That's what she says, and you said that she hit you first. So it's impossible to determine who hit who first. However, the police report is very telling. It says that when the police arrived, they found you on Kensington Street. And you told the police, you're Lucretia,
Yes.
said Francis, that would be him, began to walk down Kensington Street. So the fight had begun, and he got up and started to walk away towards Chapel Street, which is consistent with what he said. And Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. That's what the police report says.
I can show you. I couldn't even run. I had torn meniscus.
Just a second.
There's no way.
I'm telling you what the police wrote in their report that you told them. And it's totally consistent with what he said, that he was trying to walk away.
I was running.
After he beat me up.
Listen to me. You went over there furious.
I wasn't furious.
Oh, yeah.
You only
Just a second. You went over there furious.
Absolutely not.
Your Honor,
Absolutely not.
Can I tell my story, please?
Can you tell your story?
Yes, please.
Oh, be my pleasure. I got a couple of questions to ask you as long as you want to testify. Okay. There is no indication here from you to the police or any other authority that he ever put his hands on you. What you complain about him is that he's disrespectful, he taunts you, he says nasty things to you,
Yes.
he calls you names.
Yes.
In response to that, you assault him.
No, I don't, ma'am.
Oh.
Miss-
Yes, sir.
He had me falsely arrested. Yes, he's small in stature, but I don't know how he keep manipulating the system. This man is dangerous.
You have to understand something. You told the police that he doesn't...
We never had a physical altercation. That's why I don't know where he's getting these things from. It's like once he found out we were going to divorce, he didn't want to leave the house. So that's why he kept having to try to put a case on me.
All may be true.
Yes.
There is no indication here, as a matter of fact, quite the contrary, that he ever put his hands on you.
He never put his hands on me, and I never placed a hand on him.
Your sister did. Now you can sit down.
Go.
Can I just tell you how we even got here?
No.
All I want to say.
No, I'm just telling
Sorry.
you. I don't care how you got here. This happened 2.5, 3 years ago. And the reason that you're here is because of an incident that had, in its beginnings, you going to a place where you had no right to be.
Can I please show you the medical reports? Because there's no way I ran down the street.
Just a second. I'm going to read what you told the police.
That was...
After a brief verbal altercation, Francis punched her in the face. They both began fighting in the middle of the street. Francis then began to walk down Kensington Street towards Chapel Street. Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. Okay, your case is dismissed.
Right.
Now, you have any medical records of your injuries?
Yes,
I'd
Your
like
Honor.
to see them.
I have scar to you.
Just a second, I'd like to see them.
I'm telling you, I did not run after him. How can I run? How can I run after him if my knee, a torn meniscus?
Do you want me to play the tape of you walking through the door into the courtroom? Yes, you did.
I could walk, yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
still
right,
in
you
pain
did.
for the rest of
I
my
can
life.
play the tape back
I
for you
have to
if
get
you like.
surgery, Your Honor.
Not only is the case going to be dismissed, but because I see you can't control yourself. Even in a courtroom, you can't control yourself. I'm hearing his case now. He's got a cross complaint. And as far as I'm concerned, you were the aggressor. You went there
I did.
to a potentially aggressive situation by yourself.
Yeah,
by yourself.
She have something in her hand too. I never see what it was, but I know she threw it away.
Do you think I need your help?
Okay.
Forget it. Telling you, this man is dangerous. You'll see he'll be arrested again.
See what I mean? You can't control yourself. You want me to believe that you got out of the car and calmly said, why are you calling the police on my sister? Somebody who can't control themselves in a courtroom. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. Your claim is dismissed.
All right, thanks.
Court is adjourned.
I'm just sad about the whole situation because I feel like I should have won this case.
Everything is in facts, and that's how it happened. It was the truth.
I just figured she was going to jail, so I just wanted to get my nephew and leave.
I want to be a good parent.
It goes on. He's manipulating the system, and it shows.
That whole case just seemed like a mess all the way around. I think the plaintiff went there maybe a little hotter than she was ready to admit. I think the police report seemed enlightening after you took a look at that and read her own account of what she told the officer. And, you know, he didn't seem like Prince Charming either, though. So I'm annoyed that you gave him the judgment. I agree with it because it was so unclear.
I gave him the judgment, actually.
Because she couldn't control herself. I knew.
Because you're in a courtroom setting and you try to take somebody's demeanor in a courtroom setting, which is intimidating. I mean, I'm intimidating. I know that I'm intimidating. Couldn't control herself.
Yeah.
You know, you have to couple the law with common sense. He's no doll, for sure. But he extricated himself from the house because according to her,
and then down the street.
he was outside when she got there. The police report was clear. He again tried to extricate himself by walking away. And when the police arrived, they were fighting on the street. Again, because she had caught up with him. She said she went there to get her nephew. You can call the police and say, I think there's going to be a problem. Would you take me over there? There's a domestic case. But she went over there hot. And the reason he was awarded money is because she couldn't control herself, even here. There was no question in my mind that she was the aggressor.
No, I agree.
You asked to put the van in her name because you have unpaid fines.
Okay.
That's against the law. You knew that he couldn't have a car in his name.
I knew that he had a lot of tickets.
So you were an accomplice. That's not a question. That's a statement.
This is Judy Justice. Edward Taylor is suing his former friend, Sabra Crockett, for the cost of a van.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3065, Taylor versus Crockett.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Taylor,
Yeah.
I read your complaint. I have several questions.
Okay.
When was the last time you owned a car in your name?
October of last year.
What kind of car did you own?
2010 Lexus.
What happened to that car?
The upper and lower control arms were broke, and I couldn't drive it because I felt that it was too unsafe.
How long did you have that car?
About 4 months.
Was it insured?
Yes.
By whom?
I don't have the name of the insurance company with me, but it was insured.
Prior to that, you had that car for 4 months. What was the car you had previous to that?
Previous to that, 2000 Cadillac SDS.
On either of these cars that you had, either the Cadillac or the Lexus, had you accrued tickets and fines?
Yes.
How much?
I believe my tickets are around a couple thousand.
On both of those cars?
No, not on those cars, from cars prior.
I'm talking, well, you couldn't have registered either one of those cars, sir, if you had $2,000 in fines on other cars.
I have a photograph of the picture of the registration.
Of what?
To the Lexus on my phone.
Did you pay the $2,000 in fines on previous cars?
No.
No. Now we can get started with this case.
Okay.
This case says that you purchased a van. For whatever reason you purchased the van. The defendant was a friend of yours. You asked to put the van in her name.
She asked.
No, that's not right.
Okay. Go ahead.
Get it together, sir.
All
Would you
right.
please? I'm going to be respectful to you. You be respectful to me.
Amen.
Good. You asked to put the car in her name because you had unpaid fines and tickets and couldn't have it in your own.
Okay.
That's not an okay. That is a yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Just as long as we're getting it together.
Okay.
And she did. You bought the van. You paid $2,400 for it.
No, ma'am.
How much did you
The
pay
total
for it?
price, I have the bill of sale here, evidence.
It says here in your complaint, sir, I paid $2,500 for the van.
Yes, I made a payment on the van since then of
May I see,
$200.
may I
Yes.
see the papers that he's showing me? I went to visit my friend in April 2022, who was a bishop, parked next to an old van that the church owned and asked if they would be willing to sell it. He said the church would sell me the van. I paid $2,500 for the van. That's your sworn complaint.
Okay.
Okay is not,
Yes.
okay is great.
Right, but they decided that they wanted $2,900. I do have, Your Honor, I do have the receipt.
I don't, listen to me, sir.
Okay,
I don't care.
all right.
The reason you put the van in the defendant's name was because legally you were not allowed to put it in yours because you had unpaid fines. What happened, according to the defendant, is that in the time that you had the van, which was from what month and year to what month and year?
May the 1st of 2022, and she brought the police.
When did she take the van back?
May the 7th. May the 7th of this year.
And in that year, according to the defendant, she took the van back because you had, again, acquired a lot of tickets on it.
2 tickets, which I paid.
Really?
Yes, I have the receipt.
Well, and she's going to have to show me. She said you acquired $1,600 worth of tickets. Is that what you wrote?
Yes, I did write that, Your Honor.
Do you have proof of that?
I have proof as what the tickets are and what it would cost to get this van in shape.
No, that's not what I asked you. I said...
I have some here, yes,
just
I
a
do.
second.
Okay.
Answer. At this point, he owed me $1,600 in toll fees.
Toll fees?
Do you have proof that he, in that year, he accrued while driving the van
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
Because the $1,600 was including everything that needed to be added to this van.
No, Miss Crockett.
Yes.
No, Miss Crockett. That's not what you said here. You said you took it. I'm going to read you what you wrote.
Yes, dear.
At that point, he owed me $1,600 in toll fees, and I didn't trust him to do the right thing. Before the van was completely worthless, I decided to have the police come and get it.
Yes.
So how much were the fees? You said toll fees. How much could you prove that he had accrued in toll fees? You didn't spend any money for this van. And I absolutely believe that you should have taken it back. Under normal circumstances, you should have taken it back if he accrued any tickets on the van because you're liable for that.
Yes.
And he's got a miserable history with paying his fines.
Yes. Yes,
Do you understand?
Honor. Yes,
Yes, Your Honor.
now.
Yes, Your Honor. How much can you prove he had in toll fees?
The tickets that I have here, pictures of.
Well, show me.
Okay.
Show me. I didn't ask you for anything. Are you showing me text messages? I want to see toll fees.
That's all I have, dear, is the text messages.
From whom?
Between Edward and myself, and some pictures of the tolls, the tickets that I sent to him through the
I would
phone.
like to see the tickets that you sent him. I don't want to see text messages.
Edward Taylor claims his former friend, Sabra Crockett, owes for the cost of a van. Sabra says the van was stolen and she owes him nothing.
You're the owner of the car. You would have gotten notification of toll fees.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Well, then I want to see them. Look that up. Give me the low range.
1,600 to 4,000.
Miss Crockett, it's taking you too much time to find what was clear.
All right, here's two, my dear.
There's
I have
two what?
more. Here you go, young man.
Yeah. Well, I have one, and she says to you that she got a collections notice on a ticket from September 13th in the amount of $110.17. So you need to call this lady. And then on May 5th, she says to you, your balance from other tickets would be $601.17.
No, ma'am. I have 2 tickets here. One that's $33 from Trenton. I was in Trenton. I have one that says $110
And $10.
$10.17.
Right.
I have letters here that state that she received the money.
Just a second. When did you get the fines?
I didn't get pulled over. This was like from a camera shot. And there was no toll booth in Trenton. This
How
was
come
an
it went?
overhead
Just
camera.
a second. It went to collections, sir. So if she was notified of a ticket, listen to me.
Okay.
If she was notified of a ticket, believe me, this lady notified you right away.
No, she didn't. I can prove it.
Go ahead.
The letter that she sent me said that the ticket was September the 13th, 2022. 7 months later, I have here from her one ticket that says $110.17 and another ticket that says $33. That's $143.17.
I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about why did it go to collections?
Because she didn't turn the money in that I stuck in her mailbox. And I have proof here that I stuck the money in her mailbox.
Just a second. On what date did you put money in her mailbox?
I have it here on March the 15th. It says...
Just a second. March?
Yes.
Just a second.
March the 26th at 5:15, I got a text message from Miss Moore. I just got it this morning, the money you put in my mailbox. I got it, but you are still late. I will send you the picture of the ticket. Now, this is the first time I gotten a ticket from her, period. The one for $33 and the one for $110. This other thing about $116, she can't show you that she sent it to me. She cannot. For her life, she can't show you that. Here are the two tickets that she sent, and on my phone, I have a balance of $60.17.
Oh, well, maybe this says 60, although it looked like 601.17.
Oh, no, $60.17.
60?
It's $60, Your Honor.
$60.17?
Yes, dear.
Yes, not
Okay.
600.
That was on Friday, May 5th.
Yes. On Monday, May the 1st, I paid her $182 for insurance. Here's the letter that she sent me about the insurance
May I?
due.
This is in...
Here's another one.
Just a second.
Okay.
Let's start with this, Mr. Taylor. The fact that you tried to scam the Department of Motor Vehicles starts you off with a problem. Do you understand?
Yes.
With me. Starts you off with a problem. Because if you know that you're not allowed by law to register a car in your name because you have unpaid fines from whatever state you're from. What state are you from?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
From Pennsylvania. You have unpaid fines. And you try to circumvent the law by physically owning a car, having it in your possession, and being the sole driver of the car, and putting it in someone else's name to circumvent the fact that you haven't paid tickets, doesn't put you in a good place here.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
We understand that. It's like buying a car without a driver's license and saying, you know what? This is the car I want. I have no driver's license because they took my license away for drunk driving, but I need a car to get around. So I'll give you the money, you buy the car, and I'll drive it. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's against the law. So when people come into court who have already broken the law, and you ask me to find in your favor and return a car to you that you can't own, you understand? We have a problem. That's where we're starting from. Now, similarly, you were an accomplice because you knew that he couldn't have a car in his name. Are you denying that you knew he couldn't have a car in his name?
Yes, I am denying that, Your Honor.
Now you tell me why you thought he, uncross your arms, why you thought he needed the car put in your name rather than him owning the car himself.
Okay, this is how it went, Your Honor.
No, I asked you a question.
Yes.
I mean, do you own a car?
Yes, I do.
Did you pay for it?
Yes, I did.
Is it in your name?
Yes, it surely is.
It surely is. Who is this person?
This is my girlfriend, my neighbor, and my friend.
Does she own a car?
Yes, she does.
Is it in her name?
Directly, yes, it is.
Okay, so you know that if he bought a car with money
Yes,
and said to you, put it in your name, there had to be a reason.
definitely.
What did you think the reason was?
When I got to the Allstate office to get the title change, he approached me and said, could you put it in my name because I have a lot of tickets?
That's what I just said.
Yes,
That's
but I
what
didn't know that. I knew that he had a lot of tickets. I said, I'm going to give you 3 months.
It doesn't make any difference. What you did was you knew he couldn't put it on cross. You knew he couldn't put it in his name because, for the same reason the drunk driver couldn't put a car in their name, they had no license. He wasn't allowed to own a car unless he paid off his fines on his old cars.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were an accomplice in that by putting it in your name. That's what I'm telling you. That's not a question. That's a statement. There's a difference between a question and a statement. I'm making a statement to you.
Yes, you are.
You knew?
No,
he
I
was
did not know, dear.
Oh, yes, you did.
No, I did not, because when I met Mr. Taylor, he was driving a Chrysler 3000.
Who cares? He told you he couldn't put it in his name because of the tickets.
For the tickets.
That's what.
Yes, dear.
That's exactly what I said to you. He
Yes,
told
you
you he
did.
couldn't put it in his name because of the tickets.
Edward Taylor is accusing his former friend, Sabra Crockett, of refusing to pay for his van after it was stolen. Sabra says she did Edward a favor, and he still owes her for parking tickets.
So, Mr. Taylor, I am disinclined to help you, but I want to know what happened to this van, just out of curiosity. Now, I know the van was stolen once and recovered. It was stolen a couple of months after you were driving it.
After I brought it.
6 weeks. It was sad. And then you got it back, got it out of impound, a couple of parts or whatever. But you were still driving it because you drove it for a year after it was stolen the first time. You took it back more recently because you say you got these tickets, whatever. You took it back.
Yes.
It wasn't smart of you to do it in the first place if you knew that he was breaking the law by having this car.
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened to the van?
I retrieved the van.
Yes, I know you did.
And with the police.
On what date did you go and get the van?
I got the van on May 3rd, 2023.
No.
Where is it now?
Somebody stole it, Your Honor.
From where?
In front of my house.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do, dear.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Here you go, Your Honor.
Thank you.
This young man here.
Okay. And Allstate is the insurer.
Yes, dear.
Did you advise Allstate that it was stolen?
Yes, I did.
And what happened?
They gave me a claim number and said they'll call me in a couple days.
And did they call you? Or are you waiting for the call?
I was waiting for the call, yes. Dear.
Oh, well, then you have to wait, sir. If you get any money, you have to give it to him. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I have talked to Allstate, but it was only, liability on it? No other?
Well, that would not be my problem. That would be his problem. You put insurance on this.
Yes, I pay
Well,
every month.
it depends upon what kind of insurance you have.
$80
If you get any money back from Allstate for the van, listen, this just happened. We're talking about something that happened 23 days ago. You're not a priority for Allstate. So I don't know whether they're going to give you any money or not. It depends upon his insurance. All I'm telling you is if you get any money for this stolen van, it belongs to him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. Has he cleared up all the tickets that are in your name?
No, dear.
How much is outstanding in tickets
Probably-
that you can prove?
Probably $50.
I don't care about $50. I mean, I care about $50.
Okay.
I care about $50, but not as much as this tape is costing to tape this case. So you understand that if you get the check and if you had insurance to cover your van, sir, pay attention. If you had insurance to cover your van, I'm directing her to turn that money over to you if she gets it.
Yes.
If she doesn't get it, you get nothing.
Okay. But how would I know if she got it?
Well, you trusted her to put the car in her name, didn't you?
But I can't, Your Honor, can I show you this here where I don't owe anything for tickets?
I don't care.
No,
you
I'm just
understand?
saying.
I don't care. You do owe for your old car's tickets.
Okay, yes.
You
but I'm
do
saying
owe
attorney-
thousands of dollars for your old cars
Yes,
for tickets.
I agree.
All I'm saying to you is that if you had full coverage on this van instead of just liability, if you hit somebody, she should get a check for a stolen car. If you do not have that on the van, she will not. So I would suggest that we will prepare an order for this car that you can send to Allstate, which is your insurer, that if there is a check, her insurer, which if there is a check, that check should be forwarded to you. Whether they will do that or not, I don't know. But I doubt very much whether you were paying for anything other than the minimum liability on this van. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's right. But
Then you would get nothing. Then you would get nothing. She doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Got stolen.
I knew nothing about it being stolen.
Well, just so that you
Until
know,
now.
this is the police report. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll take it back now. Got it?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Well, the judge made a good decision.
I think the judge did a marvelous job.
Well, I just didn't pay it. That's just telling the truth.
Because he knew I had a valid driver's license and I could drive and he couldn't.
She never intended on giving me the title.
I went to his church and I had the police to meet me there and I had the title, registration, and the insurance card.
I learned that you can't trust everybody.
This is a lesson learned. Do not sign for anything unless you check out all the facts.
Okay, I just have a little bone to pick with your analogy of, I understand the analogy that you made between driving drunk and covering for someone who's unable to drive under the law for having a DUI or, something of that nature. But when you liken it to parking tickets, I understand under the law equally that person would be unable to register a car for those two reasons. But I feel like with a DWI, you're making an active choice to get behind the wheel when you know that you're drunk and you're endangering the lives of others. With parking tickets, there's a lot of factors, socioeconomic factors, that play into why someone might not be able to afford their parking tickets. Now, before you get to the counterpoint of he bought 2 more cars after that, I'm not saying that this situation warrants my counterpoint, but I do think that it's something to consider, is that a DWI is something very serious, that you're taking an active role in your own criminal behavior,
you're
endangering others.
You're endangering others. I would agree with you. When you come into a court of law and equity, equity means you want a fair result to happen. So you're sort of throwing yourself on the court and saying, I want you to do justice. And before you do that, you're supposed to come in with
clean hands.
Right. And he clearly couldn't do that because the whole scheme with the car is to avoid personal responsibility, paying your tickets so that you can have a car, so that you don't park next to a fire hydrant in a handicap spot, in a fire zone. You're not supposed to do that. That also places people at risk, but not in the same way as drunk driving. But I
understood the analogy.
You're not supposed to, not here anyway, break the law and then come into court and ask for my help in equity when you've broken the rules.
The same court you're defrauding.
Yep. And she was really a co-conspirator.
I don't even think she realized until you said it 3 times.
No, I don't think she realized. She realized it either. I'm not sure. She was supposed to be a church member or whatever, a friend. I'm not so sure that there wasn't a little bit more there. I don't know. I don't know. But I certainly wouldn't, for anyone, put a car in my name and be responsible for it and let you drive if you have a history of being irresponsible.
You wouldn't even do that for me, I don't think.
No, you don't have to think about that. I would not do that for you. I wouldn't put a car in my name for you.
Jessica Schleicher is suing her ex-boyfriend, Sam Branch, for unpaid rent and the costs of an eviction.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Hello, Kevin.
Case 3106, Shackler versus Branch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Schleicher.
Schleicher.
Okay. You and the defendant lived together for 25 years. Reason that you never married?
No.
Any reason?
Waiting for financial things to come together. And
that was quite a wait.
Yeah.
In any event, this 25-year relationship ended badly. And it is your claim that the defendant stayed in an apartment that you had lived in together. I believe your name was the only name on the lease, but you lived there as a couple together. For how many years?
I lived there since I was 6 years old. My parents were actually the ones on the lease. And when my father passed away in 2007, we moved back in. We were out in our own apartment, moved in, took over the rent.
Because the rent was more reasonable and the apartment probably
Definitely.
better.
Yeah.
Okay. And the breakup was an acrimonious one. And it is your claim that the defendant stayed in the apartment with one of your children,
Yes, my son.
and that he didn't pay rent in the apartment for several months. And because your name is on the lease, the landlord brought a case against you for the unpaid rent.
Correct.
That's primarily what you're suing for.
Primarily.
Because the other part, he's not responsible for. The part where you had to go find, and you went and found a more expensive apartment, well, one of you was going to find a more expensive apartment. Is this a rent-controlled or stabilized?
Yeah, the place that I was in, I was still grandfathered in at 2000.
Yeah, so it was a rent-stabilized, grandfathered in. You were there together, not you.
No.
The two of you for 25 years.
No, I was there with my family. He moved in with his son in 2007, but I was there with my brother and my parents since I was
just
little.
a second. I thought you were together for 25 years.
We were, but I was in that condo for 39 years, since I was 6.
How long did the two of you live together?
Since 2007, for 16 years.
But you were in a relationship before that, so you lived together in that apartment for 16 years.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me the day that you moved out of the apartment when you had this argument.
May 30th was the first day that I left, and I stayed at my mom's house and in my car, and then went ahead and moved out and got my own place July 1st. So July 1st is when I removed all my belongings.
Had you stayed there at all in the month of June?
No.
Is that correct?
I think there might have been a week in June.
Well, if you think that she says no, she says no, and what you may be, she wasn't there. Your son was there?
Yes, he was.
All of June, you were there?
Yes, I was.
So you were there June. What about July? Were you there in July?
Yes, I was.
What about August?
Yes, I was.
What about September?
Yes, I was.
October?
Yes, I was.
When did you move out?
I moved out in December.
December what?
I believe it was around the 15th.
So you were there the month of December, because you don't do half months. You were there the month of December. When was the last month that you paid rent?
I was paid up until September 1st, so it was August.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 months rent that you didn't pay.
Right.
Why?
Well, when Jessica moved out, the property management came to me with 3 weeks to go in the month, saying that they were going to raise the rent $750.
Because you're no longer grandfathered in under her parents or grandparents or whoever lived there. So they were going to raise your rent $750.
Yes.
And they were going to raise it starting what date?
September 1st.
So you said, I'm not paying the increase.
No, that's not correct.
So you just didn't pay anything?
No.
Well, that's what I said. When was the last time you paid rent? You said September 1st. So I'm just curious. If he was going to raise your rent by $750, was going to make it $2,750, and you said, I'm not going to pay the increase.
No, I agreed to pay the increase. We filled out a new application.
Okay, great. So when did you start paying the increase?
We didn't pay the increase.
Okay, so you didn't pay rent, and I'm asking you why.
I had a heart attack.
You had a heart attack on what date?
August 20th.
When did you sign the new lease?
We didn't sign the new lease. We filled out an application. Yeah.
Okay. After your heart attack, on what date did you go back to work?
It was...
Careful, because it's very easy to verify.
3 weeks after.
So you went back to work sometime in September?
Yes.
And you didn't pay October, November, and December?
No.
Why?
Here's what the reason I did it. We filled out an application for a new lease. We agreed to pay the new rent. After this, he comes to me and says, now we need another $3,000 for a security deposit. In all this time, I have 3 weeks to come up with all this extra money on top of the regular rent. I couldn't afford it.
Okay. And then they evicted you, I assume.
They didn't evict me.
You just left.
My name isn't on the eviction.
Shh. Are you still in the apartment?
No.
So you left?
Yes.
In December, on December 15th. That's what you told me a moment ago.
Yes.
But you didn't pay any rent. October, November, and December. Any.
Yep.
Well, there's no excuse for that. You're living in an apartment, you're not paying rent. It's not reasonable for her to pay rent in her apartment, where she's now living, and your apartment, You find that reasonable?
No, I didn't think it was reasonable the way they. I wasn't given reasonable time to come up with the money.
Neither was she. You had a fight.
She
had
chose to leave.
She chose to leave because it wasn't working anymore.
Right.
So you have two choices. Either you leave or she leaves. Without getting into all the bad stuff of what happened, which I don't think is absolutely necessary, this is just a question of morality and justice. So you each had your own obligations. She had to move and find a new place to live that was going to be more expensive than where you are. I assume she paid rent. You chose not to pay rent. How is that fair? How is that balanced, sir?
She didn't pay no rent.
No. She's going to show me proof that she was on the lease during that period of time. The landlord is going after her for the rent money. She's going to show that to me.
Jessica Schleicher is suing her ex-boyfriend, Sam Branch, for unpaid rent and the costs of an eviction.
Now, I'm going to ask you the question again. Does that sound fair and reasonable to you?
No, it didn't sound fair and reasonable that I wasn't given a suitable amount of time to come up with $5,000.
That's between you and the landlord. What does that have to do with her?
They don't have nothing to do with her.
But
I'm not
okay,
on the lease.
Can I see the notice that you got from the landlord?
Yes, there's the eviction against me with all the documents you need.
This is not a signed judgment.
That's not the judgment?
It's not signed.
I think that's the copy the lawyer gave me. So yeah, I might not have the signed copy with me.
Well, you're supposed to bring a signed copy with you. Okay. There's no question the rent was due. There's no question that the eviction proceedings were for money, so that whatever monies are transferred will be transferred to the owner of the condo, because that's to whom it is owed, correct?
The property management company, yes, ma'am.
Okay. The second part of your lawsuit is that damages resulting from eviction and abuse. What is that about?
It was the difference of the rent from the condo to the new place because I was forced out.
Okay.
With police and everything else, I was out a lot of money.
That's not his problem. Somebody was going to be forced out of this apartment, either you or him.
But I'm the one that had to call the cops, and I have police reports, and he's the one that was abusive. I had no other choice but to leave my family's home.
Well, it was your family home. You lived like a family for 16 years. You weren't hospitalized as a result of this incident, correct?
No, ma'am.
You didn't see a doctor as a result of this incident, correct?
No.
You don't have any photographs to show me as a result of any injuries, correct?
No physical injuries, ma'am.
What you are complaining of is that he would talk to you incessantly, wouldn't let you sleep, right? I read it.
There was a lot more than that, ma'am.
There was no physicalness between the two of you that I read here.
There was yelling, spitting, throwing things, and picking up the bed that I was sitting on and slamming it down, and just anything but putting physical hands on me to avoid the police.
Well, he's not paying for your new apartment, and you're not going to pay for his new apartment. Anyway, the resolution of this case is easy: $6,063, and the check will be made payable to property management. Okay, thank you very much. We're done.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't call it living for free, you know. If you're gonna treat me like I'm a tenant, then you gotta treat me like a tenant. You gotta give me a 30-day notice.
I do feel Sam owed me some money for everything that I had to spend leaving the place.
You gotta give me all the stuff that comes along with being a tenant, instead of just skipping away.
I wouldn't have had to leave if it wasn't for his abuse, so.
Better to part ways.
Time to take care of me.
You were right when you said you lived together for 16 years. She kept referencing it as her family home, which I understand the history, and she lived there since she was a child. But when you live there with your partner for 16 years, that becomes your shared family home. Like you said, someone was going to have to leave, and someone was going to have to pay more rent. So, you know, at the end of the day, someone was going to have to leave.
Right. And the landlord, the person who is supposed to get the money, will get the money because they're the people who are out the rent.
Yeah.
And he had an obligation to pay rent. He just knew he wasn't responsible for it.
Yeah.
Legally and they couldn't go after him for it, so he just didn't pay it. No, can't do that. It's not right. So the car was stolen.
Yes, we were separated at the time. He knew I was coming back to drive across country because we were arguing a lot.
Did you have any indication that she was leaving you?
Yes.
So while she was away for that 1 week,
Yes.
her car was stolen.
Yes.
This is Judy Justice. Erin Dean is suing her ex-husband, Dennis Dean, for an unpaid car loan and negligence.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3122, Dean versus Dean.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Dean, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for a car that was stolen as a result of his negligence.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's start with, you and Mr. Dean were married for the first time in what month and year?
July of 2013.
You and Mr. Dean were then divorced.
That is correct, Your Honor.
In what year?
December 12th, 2019.
You and Mr. Dean were remarried.
This is correct.
What month and year?
October 1st, 2022.
And you separated again, and that marriage was annulled in what year?
August in 2023.
Now, you purchased a car.
Correct.
In what month and year?
October of 2019.
While you were married.
We were separated at the time. We were not living together.
But you were married.
Correct.
So this automobile was purchased during the course of your first marriage.
That is correct.
Do you have a copy of your divorce decree?
Yes, I do.
And does that divorce decree award you the automobile?
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
I'd like to take a look at it. So you were awarded in the divorce the Jeep Cherokee.
Correct, that is correct.
And then you remarried October of 2022.
That's correct, Your Honor.
The Jeep Cherokee, which is the subject of this case, was stolen on what date?
From what Dennis told me, he realized the car was stolen on December 19th, 2022.
While you were still married.
Correct.
Now, you were remarried in October of 2022.
Yes.
And where did you live?
In Pasadena.
What address?
780.
And you both lived there together?
Yes.
Had you lived there before, during your first marriage?
No.
Had you lived there while you were separated?
Yes.
When you remarried and you were living at 780, was the plaintiff living with you?
Yes.
So she moved into your residence?
Yes.
So far, is that correct, Ms. Dean?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you had no other residence?
No.
So you moved into 780?
That's correct.
Mr. Dean, until what date did Miss Dean live at 780, month and year?
January of 2023.
That is false, Your Honor.
Just,
okay.
I'm not asking you anything.
Okay.
January of 2023. What happened in January of 2023, sir?
She moved back east.
East to where?
North Carolina, while we were still married.
Okay. The car was stolen in December.
Yes, December 14th.
December 14th, so several weeks before she left.
Yes.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding the car being stolen. First, she was going back east.
Yes.
And she asked you to take her to the airport?
Yes.
Just a second. Did you drive her to the airport?
Yes, I did.
On what date?
It was a week prior to the car being stolen, which was December 7th, 6th or 7th. She asked me to take her to the airport.
Mr. Dean, when you took her to the airport, what car did you take her with?
In the Jeep Cherokee.
Did you have another car?
Yes, I did.
Why did you take the Cherokee?
Because it was big enough to put all her luggage in.
So she asked you to...
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you left for the airport, where had Mrs. Dean spent the night before?
At our residence.
At your residence,
Yes.
together?
Yes.
And what was the reason that she was going back east?
To visit her friend in Houston.
Before she went to visit her friend, and you were living together as a married couple.
Yes.
Had she given you, or did you have any indication that she was leaving you?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We had prior disagreements as far as where we wanted to live. She wanted me to move back east. She wanted to have another child, which I didn't feel comfortable with.
Did you have a child together?
No.
Who has children?
We both do.
From prior relationships?
Yes.
Okay. So you had been arguing?
Yes, it was. Oh, okay.
You had been arguing. The night before she left, you were still sharing the same residence?
Yes.
So you took her to the airport in her Jeep?
Yes.
At her request, because it fit all the luggage. And then after you took her to the airport, what did you do with the Jeep?
I parked the Jeep in a gated parking in my residence.
How long was she away?
About a week.
When she was coming home, who picked her up at the airport?
I was supposed to.
And did you pick her up at the airport?
No, I did not, because she says that she wasn't coming back because her car, I had told her about her car being stolen. And then I told her that once I found out that it was stolen, I got a police report done.
So while she was away for that 1 week,
Yes.
her car was stolen.
Yes.
And it was stolen from where?
Under the gated parking of my residence.
It was in the gated parking?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Here it is. Police report.
Okay. So the car was stolen.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now I got the dates and I got everything. And the car was stolen and?
The car was stolen due to his negligence.
No, you say negligence. The car was stolen out of a gated area. First of all, even if it was stolen as a result of his negligence, you don't get your money.
Dean claims her ex-husband, Dennis Dean, is responsible for car payments after the vehicle was stolen due to his negligence.
Let me ask you this question. I'm going to maybe phrase it differently. My husband is trying to be helpful, and there's a leak in the faucet in our kitchen that has just been redone. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I have to call somebody to fix this little leak. It's dripping, and I don't want it to get any worse. And my husband said, you don't have to call anybody. I have my toolkit right here. I'm going to fix it. He's a lawyer. He doesn't know about plumbing. But he goes under the sink and he jiggles and jaggles and turns things, and there's a flood. And it not only floods out the kitchen, but it floods the apartment below. And I say, get out. I don't want to know you anymore. You're always doing things like this. You think my husband's responsible if the house is in my name? Get out of here.
Can I explain my situation and what happened, Your Honor, please?
You can. So now you have about 2 minutes to tell me your theory of the case.
When he did take me to the place, I did tell
Not
him,
the place, to the airport.
To the airport. I did tell him not to move my vehicle, not to drive my vehicle. He moved my vehicle because he has an unregistered vehicle that is in the previous divorce decree. And he uses that vehicle, he switches out his Infinity plates to drive that vehicle to and from work. I told him not to move my vehicle because I know he likes to move that car, so he told the police officers who rides back and forth the street doesn't see it.
That's not true.
And when he moved my vehicle, he left the keys inside my car. My car cannot start without a push start. So he took out the garage opener, and the reason why is because they were doing maintenance work at his apartment complex at the time where the gate was left open overnight. That's how my car got stolen, because the lady who did take my car, she had access to easily get inside of it, and the keys were inside my vehicle to where she was able to steal it.
Think about my husband, who I'm fighting with all the time, fixing the sink and causing a flood in an apartment or a house that is mine. I can't sue him. But it sounds to me, from what you tell me, that you knew he had been playing around with license plates while you were still together. That's what you just told me. That's what he does.
No, that's not true.
Listen to me, sir. It may not be true, but that's what you just told me.
It's in text messages, so that's true.
That's what you just told me.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. You have no case against him. It's unfortunate that your car was stolen and it was found, I understand.
Yes,
but it was found
totaled.
Total, yeah.
Well, that's not his fault. Case is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I told him not to drive it, not to move my car, because I know that's what he did. He did it anyways, my car got stolen.
I didn't leave the key in the car. Actually, I had put it in my bag and took it upstairs, but she just went with that because that's all she had on.
I just hope that I never have to see him again.
I just want peace and just to be left alone and get back to my regular life.
Can you imagine how the courts would be flooded with lawsuits if married people could sue each other for negligence?
Be more backed up than it is right now?
Oh, it would put a complete stop to the justice system.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't even think that in this case he was negligent. I mean, there was debate as to whether or not he left the keys in the car. That could be viewed as a little bit negligent.
But they were a married couple who cohabited together until a couple of days before the car was stolen. And the place where he lived, evidently, which was under construction, somebody left the gate open. Well, that's the person who she ought to sue for leaving the gate open, which allowed her car to be stolen.
Sure.
Not her husband.
Agreed.
Ridiculous.
Is suing her former friend, Douglas Soroki, for storage fees and a wrongful eviction.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2062, Bahar versus Soroki.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bahar, how old are you?
38.
What do you do for a living?
I used to be a cosmetologist.
What do you do now?
I'm not doing anything right now.
Who are you living with?
I lived in hotels. I'm staying now with a friend for 3 weeks.
How do you support yourself?
I'm on income that comes every month. I'm on disability right now.
Is your disability of a physical nature or a psychological nature?
It's both.
And how much do you collect from disability?
Around $900.
A month?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been on disability?
About 10 years.
10 years? And when were you a cosmetologist?
I started back when I was 16, during high school time. And I started doing hair, and I went to hair school, and then I ended up getting really sick. So I went back and forth to doing hair. And then I just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, when did you said you were a cosmetologist? When were you a cosmetologist?
During high school years, so it was like around 2000.
Oh, well, that's a long time ago. We're talking about ancient history.
Yes.
So what you're telling me is that since you were in your mid-20s, you have been on disability.
Yes.
And how old are you, sir?
69.
You're a single man.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me how you met the plaintiff.
About 4 years ago, she called me. I do auto brokering, where somebody wants a vehicle, and I go to the dealer and try to make the best deal for them, just like a real estate agent.
Tell me how she got your number.
So I advertise on Facebook. I advertise on LinkedIn. So I don't know exactly how she got my number.
How'd you get his
out in the
number?
public.
The truth is, I never got his number. What happened was, when we talk about, I'm looking for a car, I'm selling, I want to sell my car, he messaged me, hey, I sell cars, I can help you.
That's
2-3
not
years.
true.
That's very true. I have all the messages through Facebook and everything. But he messaged me, I can help you, how are you, good morning. I said, okay, you can help me. But
Okay, I got enough.
Yeah.
All right, so let me sort of outline this case the way I am now putting it all together. You came on to some hard times, harder than usually your life is because of your disability, and you were in your apartment, according to you, and the building had a fire. Because of the fire, you became homeless. You had already known the defendant. He did something for you with a car. And you were living alone, I assume, in this apartment. How many bedrooms in the apartment? It was a one-bedroom. And did you have a lease in that apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were you paying in rent?
It was $790.
Okay, so you were paying $790 for the apartment that burned down.
I'm sorry, $690. I apologize, $690.
And how long had you lived there?
It would have been 5 years exactly.
Okay, it would have been 5 years before the place burned
Yes,
down.
ma'am.
And
But, Your Honor,
what?
they were evicting her.
At the time of the fire?
Yes,
No.
yes. And then
Just a sec, 1 sec. Don't shout out again. However, I find that interesting. She was living there for 5 years, and how do you know that she was being evicted?
she showed me the paperwork.
May I see it?
Yeah, it's my phone. Here's the letter that she had with the management.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just see your request for a hearing, and the hearing was for what?
It was dismissed. I had
No. The hearing's for what? Was it for an eviction?
No.
What was it for?
I had COVID, and I had Sarah Pay.
Are you not understanding me?
No, hearing for what? I'm sorry.
I said, was the proceeding an eviction notice?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't an eviction notice.
They don't have proceedings for COVID. They have an eviction case. You may say, I don't have money because of COVID, and they give you time to pay. Were you served with an eviction
It was
notice?
a warning to go to court.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
For what? For speeding, for robbery, for assault, or for an eviction?
For non-payment.
For eviction. Listen, for eviction.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Only because when I told the judge said it's not an eviction.
I don't care what you told the judge. You were brought to court for an eviction.
Your
Kevin,
Honor,
would you return this to her, please?
took $9,000
Just
from
a second.
Sarah.
Just a second. Ms. Bahara, let me explain something to you.
ma'am.
I don't know whether you watch me in the past or whether you don't watch me in the past, but I want you to know that I know exactly who you are. I know exactly how you live. I know exactly how you support yourself. I know who you are. I know all of that. So let's not play with each other. You're a smart lady. You've managed to negotiate at age 38 a system for yourself. So when I ask you, did you go to court for an eviction? The answer is yes. You want to explain it to me if I ask you what happened? Well, I paid it and they COVID, they couldn't throw me out because it was COVID. You're not allowed to evict somebody during COVID. You want to explain that to me if I'm interested? That's fine. But if I say to you, were you summoned to court for an eviction? The answer is
Yes. Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
Whether that had any impact on the fire in this building, I have no idea.
No, I don't. It did.
I have no idea.
And
The
when she
plaintiff
said-
says she was a heroine in this fire, according to her complaint, and she got a lot of people out of the building, and the things in her apartment were unscathed. Now, prior to that time, had you done anything other than help her secure a car?
No.
Did you help her secure a car?
No, I couldn't get it because her credit was terrible.
Just a second. Did she want a car?
Yes.
Okay,
Two
what
different
kind of a
times.
car did she want? That's the reason that you met.
The first time, something inexpensive like a GMC Terrain. The second time, she wanted a 2017 or 2018 Lincoln. I think it's MKX or MKZ.
What was she driving when she contacted you? Nothing.
Right.
Did she ever buy a car?
For me, no. But she did get one from a dealer. I don't know how they did it because...
Uncross.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you currently own a car?
No, I don't own a car. Well, now I have a car, yes.
That's what I asked.
Yes.
Yet, do you understand? You have to let me introduce you to the truth. Mr. Truth, I'd like you to meet the plaintiff. Do you have a car?
Yes, ma'am.
No, you're only nervous now because you know I understand you. You now have a car. And where are you living now?
With my friend.
Where were you living prior to that?
Hotel rooms.
When did you purchase the car?
March 27th.
What kind of car did you buy?
That was the Terrain.
What year?
2017.
How much was it?
With everything, I think it went up to $24,000.
How much of a down payment did you put down?
$2,000.
And you financed the rest with whom?
They financed it with...
They had to go to a third-party lender.
I don't care. Do I look like I need your help?
No.
No. No. Because I'm trying to find out how this lady, who has the sole income of $900 a month, lived in an apartment for $700 a month, managed to save up $2,000 to put down on a car. Car has insurance, car has gas, car has expense. You have to buy food, you need to take care of your hair. Looks like you buy nice clothes, look like you have some jewelry that's more than $900 a month, and you've been really on the doles for a decade. So I'm just trying to square all this with what I'm seeing. Do you understand where I'm going?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Now, so this is what you're complaining about. The defendant, after you called him, said, well, I have a spare room in my condo. You can come with me. And you say, well, I have all my stuff that I've accumulated in my apartment, and I have only one storage unit to put it in, and I'll have to pick through and discard stuff, blah, 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 because I can't afford a second storage unit. And according to you, the defendant said, I'll pay for the second storage unit. And at some point after you moved in with him and threw you out, he reversed the charges. And so you were charged for your storage unit for your stuff. That's part of your lawsuit, $600. Now, the main part of your complaint, for which you want almost $6,000, is for punitive damages because you claim that Mr. Soroki, while you were living with him, rent-free, food-free, everything free, made unwanted advances towards you. And I'm certain that what you did was put in this complaint the most egregious things that he did to you, because you would want me to know the most egregious things that he did to you, right? Okay.
claims her former friend, Douglas Soroki, owes for storage fees and a wrongful eviction. Douglas is countersuing for property damage and false accusations.
So let me read to you what you say he did to you, the unwelcomed advances. He would walk around the house in his underwear.
Yes, ma'am.
Just, I didn't ask you anything. These are the most egregious things. And he patted my behind when he walked past me.
Not true.
Now, just a second. Those were the first two things that you tell me that he did to you. Now, how many times do you say he touched you?
Between
on the
7 to
behind?
8 times.
7 to 8 times. Okay. When did you live with him?
I moved in March 5th of the fire.
And how long did you stay?
Till the 31st.
Of what?
Of March.
And what happened on the 31st of March?
I was trying to make phone calls to get a car behind his back because he took the privileges from using his car.
Just a second. So while you were living with him, he let you use his car when you needed it. And then he told you you couldn't use his car anymore?
So he didn't tell me. What he did was on the 24th, he said, we're going to go to my son-in-law. I sold the car to some lady. Come with me. Let's drop it off, which is the Cadillac that I'm using because he has 2 cars. He ended up getting the electric Audi. He said, just use my car. Now, keep in mind, he's letting me use that car since March 3rd. March 4th, my house burns down at 1 a.m. So he goes and gives a car to some lady. We drop it off all the way.
Date?
March 24th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that's March 24th.
So I have no more car at this point. So the Cadillac is gone now.
You didn't have a car when you were living someplace else. So moving in with him, you had a car.
Yes.
Which was very nice because you hadn't had a car previous to that. So now we dropped the car off and now you didn't have a car.
Yes.
That's March 24th.
Right.
Then what happened?
I was trying to still figure out, and we had talked.
You tried? You didn't finish to say you were trying to figure out what?
Figure out how to get a car, like to see what I can
Okay,
do.
so you were trying to get a car.
As for the money, the way it was saved, I had a GoFundMe.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't tell me you had a GoFundMe page.
I did. I did. It was for the fire.
Just a second.
It was his idea, too.
No.
I got it.
Got it? Oh, I'm dying to see that. Okay. Now, you were driving his car, right?
Yes.
Ever think about driving for Uber? Seems as if you're perfectly capable of doing that. You drove a car. Go pick somebody up, take them back. I don't know how that would be affected by your disability because clearly you were able to drive. I'm going to get past that. We're back to March 24th. Now you're making calls when he's not around to try to get a car because you no longer have a car. You leave on March 31st. Do you want to tell me what the circumstances were that caused you to leave on March 31st?
So March 26th, he said, can you please go to a friend's house? I'm bringing a girl over. I said, yes, no problem. It's his house.
Okay.
You can do that. I said, can you please drop me off? I have a friend that was supposed to be my witness today. She wasn't feeling good. Can you drop me off because it's only 15 minutes where he's from? He said, yes, no problem.
And when you slept in the defendant's condo, you had your own room?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we got up and everything was fine. He was rushing me out. We were talking, and as he showed me a picture of who he's bringing, I told Doug, shut my room door because I have stuff in there. So he dropped me off. I went to my friend. It was actually my friend's birthday.
I don't care.
Okay. So in the morning at 10 a.m., I get a text message showing me a 1-dish plate on the sink. And he's like, you couldn't do a dish? I said, I cleaned the whole house. I said, anyways, should they drop me off or do you want to come get me? I want to come back home. He's like, no, I'll come get you. I'll pick you up. He came, he got me. We sat in the car. I said, hi. He's like, I asked you to do one fit. I said, wait, the dish? I said, I cleaned the whole house and everything. We went back to the house.
Then what happened?
He knocks on the door and he says, pack up. I'm calling you Uber, leave. I said, I have nowhere to go. Where am I going to go? What do you mean leave? He said, I just don't want you here anymore.
Now, this is on the 27th. He tells you to leave. You call the police.
No, he called the police. I told him to call the police.
No, she
Oh,
didn't tell me.
just a second, because you didn't want to leave. Because
didn't have nowhere to go.
Because you didn't want to leave.
It's not that I didn't have nowhere to go. I had no car to leave anywhere.
Well, just a second. Are you living at a hotel after this?
I did.
After this. And how did you get to the hotel?
The guy that I purchased the car from brought it to his house, brought me that car
So
on the
you
31st.
just a second. So he asked you to leave and you managed to get a car and you went to a hotel, right? What happened between the 27th, because police were called, they came, and they evidently said you could stay?
1 week.
1 week. They
What
tell you
happened
could...
was there was 2 cops.
I don't need a whole story. Did they
He
let
said,
you
how long
stay?
would you like for you to have? I said, I need some time. I have nowhere to go. That's when...
Just...
Yes, ma'am.
a week. But you left on the 31st. Did anything else happen between the 27th and the 31st?
No.
You packed up your things,
Yes.
and a car was delivered,
Yes.
and you left.
Yes.
There were no incidents.
No.
And so just so that I'm totally clear and understand, on the 27th, you were in a safe place in somebody's house. You have your own bank account because GoFundMe?
I have the page.
Oh, may I see it, please?
Sure. And the description
Okay.
is here. And that's how much it's.
Okay. My name is Marilyn, and I'm a fire survivor. Place where I lived caught fire. I left my apartment to go upstairs. I knew it was too late for one of my neighbors. I had to scream. I will make a long story short. It's taken a toll on me and everyone else. My main goal was to save everybody. We ended up losing everything because we had to leave the premises, and we were not allowed to go back for 24 hours to remove what was left in our apartment. As for me, I now have nowhere to go, and I need help to get into a place. I had to borrow a friend's transportation to get around, rent out a storage, and put everything there that I can. At this point in my life, it feels like a dream, and so far, you asked for $7,000, and so far you raised $1,772 from soft-hearted Americans. These people got to stay off the internet.
Has accused her former friend, Douglas Soroki, of sexual harassment while living with him. Douglas says Marilyn lied to the police and damaged his reputation.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear, you raised almost $1,800. You didn't have a car before.
I had a
No,
car.
you told me you didn't have a car before. Is that what you
During
said,
that
Whitney?
time, yes.
She didn't have a car before.
During that time.
Well, at that time is what I'm talking about. At the time of the fire, when you were living
Yes.
at this $690 a month apartment, you didn't have a car. You see, what I don't understand, madam, is that in the whole litany of your travails and troubles with the defendant, it sounded to me, a little bizarre, taking in somebody he didn't know, dating somebody else, bringing somebody else to his house. But he's a 69-year-old man. He can do what he wants to do. He's not asking you for anything. You pay for your own storage. If you had to pay for your own storage, pay it out of the GoFundMe page. The thing that's most irritating to me is that you now, in order to get money from him, you sued him for sexual advances. And if they were so horrific to you, you've lived in motels before. You've lived in hotels before. You have friends. But it's sort of outrageous to try to convince me that you were so outraged by his conduct and still stayed, and when he tried to get you out, try to convince the police to let you stay because it was your home. That's what I don't understand.
The police said that she has.
Just a second. Do you understand what I just said?
Everything you're saying is not how it happened. Everything's a lie because he gave me the car 2 days before the fire. He told me I have an extra room. I'm gonna help you come clean my house. I'll give you $300. Get back on. This is the truth. I'll get you back on your feet. I did lose my home. I did save people. Yes, I am.
You're not understanding what I'm saying.
I was never there for free. I paid for food. I helped him too. The car he'd give me, I go back and forth, help him bring in his papers to the car dealerships.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think he owes you for? You're going to pay your own storage unit. That's why you went on a GoFundMe page.
He said do the GoFundMe. He called one of his friends from California. He's the one that sent $500. Yes, I saved it. That money from the GoFundMe and from whatever I got from my friends, I saved it to get a car. I said, are you going to still help me put the down payment? He promised the down payment. He promised everything. Yeah. I have proof right here that he promised everything. I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. This is all him saying.
Take care of yourself. I find it unbelievable for a person as strong as you are that if he was doing these things that were so irritating to you, there's the door. And what I have a problem with is that some people really are subject in their workplace, in a domestic situation, abusive people. And when you try to use it to get money from, well, that's what you're here for. That's what you're suing him for. $6,000.
Right,
$6,000. $6,000.
I could have.
Just a second. Just a second. Don't tell me you had nowhere to go. You've had some place to go for 38 years. For 38 years, you've managed to find a place to go and find. Don't speak back to me. You've managed to find some place to go for 38 years. and without working, hustle to live. However that was, whether it's through relief or food stamps or disability payments or cosmetics on the side, you've managed to not work and live. Well, that's what you told me. That's what you told me. Don't look quizzically. You've managed to not work and to live. Somebody who may have had ulterior motives. 70 doesn't go into 38, sir. 38 goes into 70. But 70 doesn't go into 38. So I would stay within my ballpark if I were you. Do you understand? And it doesn't belie credulity, which means I can actually understand that a single guy, 70 years old, now has somebody who's relatively attractive that he's extended a hand to come and live with him, and he made an agreement with her. I don't even have to go into it, that she would take care of the apartment, she would clean up the apartment, she wouldn't have to pay you rent, she could use your car, all of that stuff. And there is no question in my mind, in your head, that somewhere down the pike there was going to be a payday. Just a second. Maybe, maybe not. However, the plaintiff has 2 good feet, and she was out of your house, and she insisted on coming, as she calls it, home. I had to go home. And then when the police came, she insisted on staying home. How much time do you need to get out? Because he wanted her out. I need a week here because I have no place to go. Okay, your case is dismissed. Listen, sir, you made a mistake.
I made a mistake.
You made a mistake.
Yeah.
Your mistake just got dressed down in an international forum, because there's no question in my mind that this lady who lives by her wits, if she didn't want to live someplace, she wouldn't live there. So your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I am a very humble person. I don't hurt people. I'm a giver.
Well, she knew that the girl was lying, and I knew that she'd catch it right up front.
She's the judge, right? But the real judge is God. And that's who I put my faith in.
You can't do anybody a favor. She had a fire.
And she may have seen me dressed up nice. I'm going to take care of myself, whether I am homeless or not.
She called me at 1 or 2 in the morning, had nowhere to stay, so I let her in.
I'm not going to come as a scrub. I'm not a scrub, so.
People have to be so careful on GoFundMe, and there's no fact check on the internet. There's no way to tell whether she really did lose her belongings and was homeless from a fire or not. People can write whatever they want on the internet. And it really rubbed me the wrong way, because I thought I read in her sworn papers for today, she said, I was able to save most of my belongings because my unit did not burn to the ground. And you read the complete opposite on her GoFundMe page, that she was using to solicit money from innocent people online. And that really rubs me the wrong way, because you're going to swear to this here in court today, but there is no such sworn testimony for the internet.
We've seen a few cases like that, even people feigning illness. And it's actually just a testament of the good-hearted people that live in this country that will give a total stranger, based upon a caption, $10, $100, just makes them feel better. But when you find somebody who abuses it, it really hurts everybody, because people will look at these GoFundMe pages, some of which are legitimate, as potential scams. Yeah. Anyway, that's a woman who lives by her wits, and he's an old...
Is suing videographer Garrett Manny for unfinished video services.
Court come to order. All rise.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Hello, Judge. Case 2089, Brooks versus Manley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Brooks, you are a realtor.
Yes.
And you also decided to go into the business of buying houses, fixing them up, and flipping them.
That's correct, Your Honor.
When did you decide to do that?
I started my company in 2017.
Was that just a real estate company, or was that the company that bought houses and renovated them and sold them? Which one?
That was my company that I started for flipping houses.
Do you have a partner in that business?
No, it's just myself.
From 2017 until now, how many houses have you sold and flipped?
This would have been my third one.
The house that we're talking about now?
Yes.
And when did you purchase that house?
I purchased it in March of 2020.
How much did you pay for it?
$200,000.
This is what the case is about. For that house, just that house, you commissioned Mr. Maney?
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor.
And you're a videographer.
Yes, Your Honor. Photographer and videographer.
To video for the purposes of advertising the project from start to finish, what it looked like when you purchased it, and sort of ongoing throughout the process, taking video of what you did to change cosmetically the inside and or the outside of the house. And you had an agreed price with him, which you paid. How much was that?
$1,919.
And it is your claim that since Mr. Maney did not finish the project and did not take the end product of what the house looked like when it was finished, you acknowledge he did come at other times and took video of what the house looked like at the beginning and the middle. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
But didn't do the video of the end, that you want your entire $1,919 back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Whatever he says. Mr. Maney says that you were difficult, that it was impossible, the job was supposed to take 4 months, it took almost a year, he didn't sign on for that, which may be. But more important, is there a video? Do you have a video of what he took? Do you have a video of what you gave her?
I have in my Google Drive a ton of video of what I've taken, but at the end, I have evidence showing we had scheduled for me to come in and do that final video. Everything was on point. Then she tells me here, it's going to be completed.
Just a second.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to let you have an opportunity
Okay, sorry, Your Honor.
to tell me what your defense is to this case, if you need one. I just want to see some video of what you took. Doesn't anybody have that here? I mean, if 3/4 of the project was completed with video, and the only thing, according to you, that he didn't do was the end, that's what you just told me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so did he give you the video that was done?
I got nothing, Your Honor.
Your Honor, she has had access to the Google Drive with all of the video components in there. I cannot complete the final edits to put everything together until she completed things on her part, which was never done, which was spoken about from the beginning.
Completing things on her part meant completing the house.
Completing the house, talking points.
Okay, but video is completing the house.
That's part of it.
Part of it. And the other one is audio where she tells you what's been done.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm just thinking out loud. Why didn't you do that yourself?
Your Honor, I never had a video to be able to go and do my...
No, I'm saying, did you have access to what he had done up until that time? That's either a yes or a no. Did you have video capability of seeing what video he had shot?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have some evidence to show me that the plaintiff had access to the video that you had shot of 3/4 of the project being completed?
I believe I have something in here about uploading stuff into the Google Drive, which if she didn't have access to that Google Drive, then how did she upload the final walkthrough video that I do have evidence of that is not professional, that I was unable to complete due to her lack of commitment?
Just a second. You have video of what?
There is video evidence of the final walkthrough that was done by somebody on a phone camera because she canceled on me last minute when we were supposed to do it.
Just a second. Where did you get that evidence from?
She uploaded it into the Google Drive that had all of the videos, which she had access to, obviously,
so
if she put it in there.
So what you're saying is Miss Brooks added a video of a final walkthrough that was done by whom?
My son.
By her son. And she added that final walkthrough to the Google Drive, and therefore you were able to get it. And she tacked that on to the work that you did complete. Is that what you're telling me?
All of the rest of the videos are in that same Google Drive.
It's in the same Google Drive.
Which she had access
I
to
got
the entire
Now I'd like to see the video.
Which is not professional quality.
What did you do with that, Miss Brooks?
Your Honor,
what did you do with it?
Nothing.
Rosa Brooks claims videographer Garrett Manny did not finish her home renovation video.
You didn't send it to him. There's no question you didn't send it to him.
He requested...
You did not send it to him.
No, I didn't No, my son sent it to him.
How do I know that?
He requested it from my son because he asked me to, but I did not know how to forward it to him on the format that he was requiring. I also have tried to meet with Mr. Manny to have him upload or transfer all of the video that I videotaped of when he couldn't make it to his office so that he can upload it onto his computer so he can edit it. He never gave me an edited copy of
Just
anything.
a second. Ms. Brooks, is what you're telling me you have never seen any video of the 3/4 of the job that you acknowledge that he did? Are you telling me you've never seen any of those videos?
Never seen any of those videos, Your Honor, only
Okay.
when he was recording it at the property.
Mr. Maney, you wanted to show me something
Yes, Your Honor. Well, there is
at the beginning when we started.
a few things here.
First
This
of all, you have on your Google Drive
Yes, Your Honor.
all of the video that you took,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you currently have it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there any way that I can see any of it?
Absolutely. I also have another video that shows real estate videography work that I've done for other clients.
I'm not
My
interested.
level.
I'm
Okay.
not interested in that.
You should also be able to see on the Google Drive who has access to it.
Oh.
I removed the access when this case came up because I didn't want, at this point, I don't trust the plaintiff. So I removed her access so that she couldn't go and delete the videos and try to claim that she never had access.
To them. Got it.
Let me see.
Give the phone to Sarah, please, Kevin.
There it is, flip videos. That's all the different files with all of the different videos. And there may be something that you can push in there to see when people had access at one point, because I had access for herself as well as her son. And she has prior uploaded videos into there herself.
There's more than 30 videos in here, and
Those are just
I
files.
see the two little people on Google Drive, which usually indicates that it's shared with more than one person.
Is it currently shared with anybody other than the defendant? He said he took her off the shared access.
Rosa Brooks does have access to all of the videos.
She does.
Your Honor, can I explain why he set up that folder? Because I also took video myself to upload onto that. He showed me how to do that.
He told me that you also did, but he said that this file also includes the video footage that he took.
Yes, but it was never edited, so I can do voiceovers.
Just a second. I asked you a specific question, Ms. Brooks. I said, did you ever see any of the video that he took? Your answer was no.
No.
Correct?
Correct.
Well, the fact that you didn't look at it, I don't believe. I find no validity to why, if you had it and you were coming to court today and you were dissatisfied, why you wouldn't look at it. You had your son have access to it, and I don't know how old your son is, who took the end video. I'm going to look at some of it, but it's clear to me that Mr. Maney performed a substantial amount of work for you. Clearly, $1,900 worth of work. Clearly. So what happened at the end that caused you to have your son do an end look at what the place looked like? I don't know why, but Mr. Maney said that he has an email from you that I'm going to look at now. That would sort of be dispositive of what happened at the end run of this case. Well, Sarah, could you give me just one look at his?
Sure. So he has all of these different files for different sections of the home, driveway, fireplace, and if you click on them, these are all of the videos taken for flooring. And if you click on this, it's a video of them doing flooring, and you can see who has access to the clips. Her son,
Jeffrey
the
and
plaintiff,
Rosa.
and the owner is the defendant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
And there's probably over 50 videos in the file.
So that you and your son had access to these videos over an extended period of time. The fact that you didn't look at it, that's not my problem.
Your Honor, my son did that video late at the end, towards the end of the...
What I'm telling you is you had access to these videos.
Well,
at first
I
you
did.
told me you didn't have access, that you never saw them. Then they were available to you and your son to be able to look at them. You say you never looked at them. I actually find that unbelievable, Ms. Brooks.
Honor,
I find it unbelievable that you had them and you didn't look at them.
I didn't feel it was a need to look at them, Your Honor. I was anticipating going up to Mr. Manny's office, so once he edited, I could do the voiceovers on them.
Okay.
There was no real
Ms. Brooks,
purpose.
I don't believe that you didn't look at them. Madam, this was a $200,000 investment that you made, and this was a project. The first time that your business had done it, I don't believe that you didn't look at them. How much did you sell the house?
That folder for me to
how much did you
put my videos into.
How much did you? You're trying to talk over me. That's
Your
not
Honor,
happening.
I'm not.
You sold the house in what month and year?
The house closed on January 2022.
And what did you sell it for?
$555,000.
So you made $350,000.
No, Your Honor, $270,000 went into the house renovation.
Just a second. You sold it for $350,000 more than you paid for it.
Your Honor, I use hard money, and there's lots of.
Just a second. I know you're arguing with me. You bought it for $200,000. You sold it for $550,000.
Yes.
My math is not great, but that's a difference of $350,000. That's all I said to you. I said you bought it for $200,000. You sold it, and the difference between the purchase price and the sale price was $350,000.
Accused videographer Garrett Manny of not completing her home renovation video.
Now, you sold it in January of 2022.
That's correct.
That's when it closed.
Yes.
When did it go into contract?
Early in the project, Your Honor. It was pretty much the third month after I purchased it. So I purchased it in March. It was under contract around July of 2020.
Well, there was a lot of back and forth and a little bit of cancellation on your part back in December. You needed a little wiggle room. Looks like Monday would be a better day. First it was Friday. So there was lots of back and forth on the endgame video.
Yes, Your Honor. And he
also what?
He also canceled as well. He has to.
Well, that's all right, but
Yeah, back and forth. We both had cancellations. And
I understand that, but this was for the final piece, which is what you're complaining about. The final piece.
Your Honor, he was not responding to me at some point when I tried to contact him to get the opportunity to go to his office to give him the rest of the footage that he needed, that he requested, that he was difficult about because I wasn't able to forward it to him in the format that he needed it for. I offered to come up to his office so that he can, transfer from my phone.
I'm going to ask you a question, Ms. Brooks. I just want to see what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
How many files of video did he have?
Oh, I can't tell.
You told me 30?
There's at least 30.
I had tons of video myself in there that I uploaded that he taught me how to put into those folders. A lot of those videos are my videos that he didn't take.
I don't care. It was on the same thing that you could have looked at and told me that you didn't, which I don't believe. So I want you to understand that. He was involved. There were 30 files. I want you to tell me, how much do you think that on a time basis Mr. Maney is entitled to? You paid him $1,919. He did clearly countless of hours of videoing your project. At the end, it turned south, and the videos were available to you. I want you to give me a figure of what you think is fair. Fair.
I don't have a figure that I think is fair because, first of all, he spent 10 minutes on each visit, first of all, to do his filming.
Where does he live?
Second, he lives like the next town over from me.
Just a second, so he has to get there.
Yeah.
I want you to think, Ms. Brooks, I want you to think of what you personally did to make a profit of $350,000.
Your Honor, I didn't profit that amount.
I'm telling you, that's the difference. You may have spent money in renovating the property, but that's the difference between what you purchased it for and what you sold it for, $350,000. So the sweat of your brow, your work ethic is worth something. So even if you made in those few short months $150,000, you didn't do the physical labor on the house. You had workmen do the physical labor on the house.
I did some of it, Your Honor.
Well, maybe, but you made a handsome profit. I want you to tell me what you think Mr. Maney's work was worth to you, because I'm telling you right now, I am viewing this case as if you and your son had access to 3/4 of the finished product. So I want you to tell me what you think his work is worth.
Your Honor, it's worthless to me that I didn't get the video.
Okay.
I had a website that I needed the video for once the job was completed.
Well, that's unfortunate. You should have had your son do it. Since you can't give me a figure, I'm dismissing your case. We're done. Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
First of all, I paid him for something that I never got anything for.
They had access to the files the whole time.
And as far as him saying he uploaded some videos,
The only reason I wasn't able to get the final video
yes, they were uploaded, but I never got a chance to really review them.
is because she canceled on me like 12 hours before we were supposed to do it.
I was not anticipating on reviewing anything that was not edited.
It was her lack of put together a commitment.
Not to pay for anything up front until the project is finished.
You just can't make everybody happy, but
Don't trust anybody.
this is the only client I've ever had that was not happy. That says something.
I love Google Drive. They leave a record. You can see who started the file, who shared the file, who has access to it, who had revoke access. So I could see as soon as I logged in, he was very organized. He had different areas of the house labeled, individual videos of flooring progress, all of those were owned by him, shared with the plaintiff to be able to view them. So I don't understand why people lie about things that are so easily to be fact-checked.
And did it make sense to you that if you had this project going and it was the first time that you were memorializing one of your flipped houses, although she had two before, that it was something that she was interested in?
I know for myself on Google Drive, you get emails when things get uploaded. I would have been checking the second that the video got uploaded.
It doesn't make sense that she didn't look at them.
No, not at all. There were some videos that she potentially did add to the Google Drive, so I did see some of those.
Well, that's so interesting, because in order to be able to do that, you have to know
access.
that. Right. Didn't make sense. Not only didn't it make sense, but she had an end video, and it was clearly from the emails back and forth. She would make a date and then say, you know, her buyers aren't exactly ready. She needs a little more wiggle room. Could you make it this? She made it. Anyway, I found it sort of unbusinesslike. Did not say. Somebody did work, clearly spent hours videotaping for her. So if you didn't get your final video, but 3/4 of it was finished and could easily be edited by anybody, to find the work he did worthless.
I feel like it was a little bit of buyer's remorse for the video because she was intending to use this video to maybe attempt to sell it. And I presume it was to try and sell the home or her business as a flipper.
Her business as a flipper.
I feel like she found the buyer for the house and said, man, the video's not really worth anything to me anymore, and just didn't want to pay him.
She had paid him, she wanted it back.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Melissa Duran is suing her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, for wrongful eviction and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Case 2097, Duran versus Shaw.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duran, the defendant is the property manager at a place where you used to live.
Yes.
And you are suing her for evicting you from that place. You want a whole bunch of money. You're suing her for $10,000 for your moving expenses, for assault, for emotional distress because you had to move. Ms. Shaw says that your behavior caused you to be evicted. You violated the rules, and that's why you were served notice of eviction. So first, let me know when you started living at the property that is managed by the defendant.
In 2018.
Did you have a lease?
Yes, I did.
Do you have a copy of that lease with you?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay, so this initial lease was August of 2019, and it terminated on July 31st, 2020. It provided for 3 people to live in the apartment. Okay, and was the lease renewed?
Nope.
Okay, and so then you became a month-to-month tenant?
Yes.
And that was in February of 2020?
They also increased the rent.
That's okay, they're allowed to do that. That's a business.
No, I know.
They're allowed to do that. When your lease was extended on a month-to-month basis after February of 2020, would you tell me if the same people lived in the apartment as were on the original lease?
No.
So more people moved in?
Yes.
Who?
That would be my sisters and my mother.
Sisters?
Yes.
2 sisters?
Yes. They
and
were,
when did they move in?
Maybe about, maybe 2020, maybe? Couldn't really be positive.
So that would have been in violation of your original lease?
Yes.
And it was an apartment that you were renting? And the apartment complex has a pool?
Yes, it does.
And the incident around, circumstances surrounding this eviction that was served on you, that happened in what month and year?
It was in June of this year.
How long, Ms. Shaw, have you been the property manager?
Since
the end of November of last year.
November of 2021.
Yes.
And in November of 2021, did you know that there were additional people living in the house?
Yes.
And didn't tell her that they had to vacate, that it was in violation of the terms of her underlying lease?
I had that morning, actually, when the confrontation happened.
No,
I
I'm
had
talking
just-
about, pay attention. My question was, did you register any complaint with the plaintiff about the additional people living? And be very careful that you tell me the truth, because I know that you think you may know where I'm going, but you don't. Did you make any complaint to her November, December, January, February, March, April, or May? The answer is either yes or no about the other people living in the house.
No.
So I guess I'm going to start with you, because an incident occurred that resulted in her being evicted, that you're serving her with a notice of eviction.
Right.
Tell me when that took place, because I have to know what your reason was. That's a fair statement.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
So in June 22, like I said, that morning I had served.
What
that
morning?
June 21st or something, I believe.
What kind of letter were you serving on her?
I just gave them, mine is, it's just a complaint notice, saying that.
Do you have a copy of that? Do you know what she's talking about?
Yes, I have a copy.
I'd like to see it.
There you go.
Okay, well, this is a letter that says you and your company were eating and drinking in the pool area. Even after I told them to stop, that it wasn't allowed, they did not stop. And there is absolutely no eating or drinking in the pool area. Okay, so that's the letter she served to you. And that was on June 21st.
That's the letter she
Now,
served.
who was eating and drinking in the pool?
That would be my sister.
That wasn't just your sister.
No, it was her and her friend.
No, just a second. Let's get it together. So your sister, who wasn't supposed to be there, but they sort of let that skate.
Oh, well,
who wasn't supposed to be there.
Okay.
Okay, so your sister and who else?
That would be my sister, her boyfriend, and two of her friends, or three of her friends, I think.
Had they ever been to the pool before?
My sister has, but not her friends.
So the person who wasn't supposed to be living with you, that's your sister,
Yes.
invited her boyfriend and three other friends to the pool.
She called and asked if it was okay first.
She asked you?
Yes.
And you said fine?
Yes.
You didn't call the manager?
No.
Okay. And you are aware that there's no eating and drinking in the pool?
That's not what it says on my lease.
Is that what it says at the pool?
Nope.
Does it say anywhere in the house rules?
Nope.
Nope, it's not an answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The answer is no.
No, ma'am, it is not.
No. Now, when you've been living there for a long time, do you use the pool?
Yes, I do.
Ever had any trouble in the time from November of last year? Ever had any complaint?
Nope.
Nope is not an
sorry,
answer.
Sorry.
No
I'm
is
sorry.
the answer. No,
Yeah,
no
okay,
complaint.
no, sorry.
Okay. And did you discuss with your sister and her friends that there were any rules that she had to abide by?
No, I did not, because I was not home yet.
Stand up. First name is?
Aaliyah.
You were their boyfriend and three girlfriends. Any children?
No.
You know this lady?
Yes.
What happened when she came to tell you that there was no eating or drinking at the pool?
So we were standing.
Just what happened when she told
She
you?
came screaming at us, telling us that we needed to get the food out and that we needed to go.
Get the food out. What kind of food had you
It was
brought
just
in?
pizza and like a soda and water.
So it wasn't a piece of fruit. You were having a meal there, pizza and food. Had you ever seen your sister bring food into the pool area?
Snacks, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about snacks. Did she ever bring food into the pool area?
No.
What prompted you to order food into the pool area?
It was a hot day and we were hungry, and I'm not sure.
You asked your sister if it was okay if you and your friends came.
Yes.
Since you never saw anybody, because usually there are signs posted around a pool. I've lived in enough places to know, and the pool signs usually say no jumping in the pool, no food or drink around the pool, right?
Yes.
Most pools say that.
Yes.
Did this pool say that?
It just said, like you said, no jumping in the pool, no diving, to come into the pool, but it never said nothing about food, drinks, nothing like that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So now you please establish to me, Miss Shaw, that there was notice that there was no food and drink at the pool.
Their pool addendum.
May I see?
And then also no guest addendum.
Just a second.
It's all part of their.
Hold on. You're Melissa Duran.
Yes, I am.
And that's your signature?
Yes.
Yes. The pool is reserved exclusively for the use of residents of the building. That's what it says.
Okay.
That's what you signed. No diving in the pool area, no intoxicated persons. Okay. I just want you to show me here, first of all, the only thing that they are violating is that pool is reserved exclusively for the residents of the building. That's in here, but I don't see anything about food.
The new pool addendum wasn't part of their contract. So when we put out the new one, it was for more updated tenants, but we didn't serve them on the food, we served them on the guests.
Is what you're saying to me. The only thing that she signed is this, and there is no sign around the pool that says no eating or drinking.
There is a sign by the pool.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't have a copy of it.
Former property manager Tracy Shaw owes for a wrongful eviction and an assault.
Okay, go ahead.
Because she had moved in prior to them changing the pool addendum, I posted the new pool addendum on all of the doors. And I have actually text messages of Melissa asking me, can we, the no floaties? And I said, well, of course,
may I?
For children and whatnot, but not big floaties. Okay. So she was acknowledging the pool addendum that I had.
That I'll see. Now, she's going to show me your text messages to her.
Yes.
So you received the revised pool rules.
Yes.
And did the new pool rules say anything about guests?
No, it did not.
So if it said nothing about guests, you originally said that the pool is specifically reserved for residents of the complex.
Yes.
And according to you, the new pool rules, do they talk about having floaties in the pool?
Yes, it did.
Did it talk about having guests at the pool?
Yeah, actually it did.
And what did it say?
There was no problem, just like on the original lease. It was
No.
fine to have guests in the pool.
No, that's not what this says. This says that the pool is reserved for residents of the building only.
Well, we were already told before that it was fine to have guests.
This is the contract that you signed.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. So this is the first one that you signed, this one.
Mm-hmm.
And absent anything else, this says no guests at the pool. This says residents only.
Okay.
You say that it was the new rules allow you to have guests, or were they silent?
There was nothing on there saying that you cannot have guests. It was mainly just saying that you cannot have floaties, you cannot jump or run into the pool.
Just a second. Did it say anything about food?
No.
Is there a new sign posted around the pool that talks about food?
No, it does
All
not.
I want to see is, Miss Shaw, something in the new rules that talks about food. And I'm getting very bored with this. Now, when Miss Shaw came over and told you you couldn't have food, you had to get rid of the food, about what time was that?
Probably like 5, 6, I'm not exactly too sure.
And when had this food and stuff arrived?
We brought it. We were coming in with the food. We walked in with the food. I'm pretty sure
Just a
she's seen
second.
us.
So you and your group, 5 people, walked in with dinner to the pool area. And did the dinner include any alcoholic beverages
No.
like beer?
No.
What kind of drinks were there?
It was Pepsi. It was soda.
And what happened when Miss Shaw came over and told you weren't allowed to have the food at the pool?
She came very aggressively.
She came aggressively and she said you're not allowed.
She stormed out and screamed, get the food out and you guys need to leave.
And so what did you do?
I told her, okay, I'd get the food out, and I made a call to my sister to come help me with the food. And as we were packaging,
Where was your sister?
She was upstairs.
So when you came out with the food, you came out of the apartment?
No, we had just gotten there. We were coming from another pool area that wasn't
What other
open.
pool area?
My boyfriend's friend. We were going to swim at his pool, but it wasn't available because there was too many people there.
Were you at your boyfriend's house during the day?
No, I was at school, and they were all at work, so we all just met up after everything.
Okay, so you were asked by Miss Shaw to get the food out, and then you called your sister.
Yes, and I told her.
And then what happened?
And I told her if she could come get the food while we swam, or if not, that we were
Why
going to
didn't
leave.
you just get out?
Well, because I was trying to help, because we were splitting the check through it, the money, so we're splitting the pizza, who's getting what, and all of that. And before we even could leave, she stormed out again, screaming, saying, you guys are getting a notice, you guys are getting a notice, and running up the stairs to her, because she was coming out, and she was hey, what's going on? And then she was like, you guys are getting a notice. I'm tired of everybody not listening and coming to me with your problems. And then my sister was like, whoa, hey, relax. I'm coming to get the food. And then she threw the paper and my sister backed up
Okay,
because she
so
went aggressive.
the letter, she gave your sister the letter.
It was a notice.
She gave you the paper that said, this is a complaint. There are people in the pool who are eating, drinking. They don't belong here. They're not, whatever. She said, here's your notice.
Yes.
Okay. And that was on the 21st of June. Then what happened?
Well, after she threw the paper at me, she turned back around, still yelling, and she stomped down the stairs, and I'm trying to tell her, you didn't give me time to come and get the food. And she ran back in her apartment and slammed her door.
And she went back to her apartment, and you went where?
Back into my house.
Okay, you went back into your house. And what did you do when you went back into your house?
When I got back there, I texted her, telling her that I was sorry that they had food in the pool, and I did not know that because I did not know at the time.
Just a second. So, Ms. Duran, let's cut to the chase, so that you knew they weren't supposed to have food in the pool, only snacks.
Yeah, but I didn't know they bring it.
Just a second. That's not what I asked you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You knew that there was no food in the pool, only water and snacks.
Okay, yes.
So you knew that.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Now, if you know that, and you have given, I'm just telling you what the law is. If you know that there is a rule, and you don't convey that, that's your problem, okay?
Okay.
All right, so that's June 21st, when guests that you agreed to have in the pool, you didn't know that there was food there, you knew that there wasn't supposed to be food there, that knowledge is imparted to your guests. That's a legal assumption. I want to know what happened after June 21st. When were you served with a 3-day notice to quit?
I believe it was on the 24th.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. I have 3 of the same. They sent me 3 of them.
I just have to see one. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a cash app, return any of the money? Okay, well, you served this 3-day notice to quit, Ms. Shaw, and in it, you were alleging threatens to commit a crime. So I assume that the person, it talks about a statement, threatens to commit a crime. I assume that the threat was directed to you. Yes. In any event, you were given a 3-day notice to quit, but actually you managed to get that extended to 30 days.
Yes.
And one of the things that you had to do was to hire an attorney.
Yes.
And when you hired an attorney, did you hire an attorney and pay a retainer?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay. I'd like to see proof of what you paid the attorney.
I don't think I bring the one that pertained to the lawyer. What I do have is him finding out what the criminal act was.
No. You're a month-to-month tenant.
Yes.
Landlord has a right to give you a 30-day notice and say you have to quit the premises. You have no legal right to be there. My only question is, you were not given 30 days notice. You were given a 3-day notice, and I'm not actually convinced that there was a basis to give you a 3-day notice.
The Duran has accused her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, of wrongfully evicting her. Tracy claims Melissa was violating apartment rules.
Now, if you got 30 days, and the reason you got 30 days is because you retained an attorney, I'm prepared to look to see how much you paid the attorney, because that's an expense that you have that you wouldn't have had but for the 3-day notice to quit. They're entitled to tell you to leave. I mean, You're there with too many people living in the apartment. They've already had a kerfuffle because you allowed your sister and her boyfriend and friends to come to the pool. They were told no food. They ignored them. But I don't think any of that rises to the level of grounds to give you a 3-day notice to quit. I think that if they want to tell you that you have to be out in 30 days, that's reasonable, but they didn't. They gave you a 3-day notice forcing you to hire an attorney. I'm prepared to give you the attorney's fees if you prove to me that you paid an attorney.
I do have proof of that, but I do not have it with me.
Okay. And how much did you pay him? That's an easy thing for me to verify.
I believe it was $1,200.
I want you to think about it carefully.
No, it was $1,200 because he had lowered it. He lowered it from $1,400 to $1,200.
And you paid him by check or cash?
I paid him in Cash App. Is the only way I could.
Did he go to court with you?
We haven't. This is the first court we have been to.
So how did he get you 30 days?
Because I got the 3-day notice and it kept saying I committed a criminal act.
Okay,
So that was the reason why I obtained the lawyer, so he can find out what the criminal act was.
And just by phone calls, he got them to extend it to 30 days. So you were never in, and you left after the 30 days.
I left before the 30. I left on August 1st.
Okay. And where did you go?
I had to move all the way to Atwater, California.
Is that where you live now?
Yes, it is.
And who lives with you?
My husband, and my young son. That's it, just the three of us. We moved into a smaller, more expensive place.
Okay, and you left your sisters?
And my mother.
And your mother.
They are somewhere completely different.
Okay, what do you...
This is in their lease about disturbances and threats.
Listen, I've already made a determination that the 3-day notice should have been a 30-day notice to leave. I don't think that anything that I've heard today rises to the level of giving people who've been in the apartment as long as they had, especially over pizza, requires a 3-day notice. So the only question that I'm entertaining on behalf of the plaintiff and the only monetary award that I'm going to contemplate are attorney's fees. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a Cash App, return any of the money since he never had to go to court for you?
No, he did not.
Just a second. If I called him right now, would he tell me that you paid him $1,200?
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Though what I was going to tell you is that I did not have enough to pay him completely. I still owe him $250.
So you didn't pay him. So you paid him $950.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
What do you mean,
I
okay?
didn't. No, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't.
So you paid him $950?
Yes.
I'm awarding you $950, which are your attorney's fees, for the reason that, I'm speaking, for the reasons that I've stated, because they have an absolute right to give you a 30-day notice, tell you to leave, and there was a basis for it, actually. And you know, there was a basis for saying your guests, which is you, are not abiding by the rules. You're a month-to-month tenant. Right now, we do not intend to keep you as a tenant. We're giving you 30 days notice to find another place. I think that would have been absolutely a problem. Speaking would have been absolutely appropriate. I think a 3-day notice to quit was inappropriate given the level of infraction. So I'm awarding you the counsel fees because that's what it took to get you your 30 days. This case is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I'm disappointed in the decision.
Her actions of her aggression, throwing something in my face, that was a little bit excessive.
I don't feel that I got to say more of the story that continued to happen.
Her actions caused me to get evicted in 3 days.
They have bad character, and so I don't think that I owe them anything.
I mean, I didn't think anything like what come to this, you know.
I'm just glad they're gone.
I'm happy to be out because I just really wanted her to be held responsible for what she did.
So a trend I've seen a lot here is plaintiffs suing for wrongful eviction when they're a month-to-month tenant. And from what I've learned in landlord-tenant law in New York, I know it varies a lot from state to state, is the landlord only has to give you as much notice as your term, which if you're a month-to-month tenant would be 30 days. So people have to really understand the legalese of their contract and of their lease, because if you feel like you're being wrongfully evicted as a month-to-month tenant, that's a different standard than if you have a standard year-long written lease.
Well, that's sort of the reason. I didn't think that the one instance that was raised was sufficient to give them a 3-day emergency notice to quit. Might have been enough, that coupled by the fact that there were too many people living in the apartment, to give them a 30-day notice. That is, you're right, it's your property. But I didn't think it rose to the level of a 3-day notice to quit for threats.
I didn't either, so I agreed with your $950 judgment for the attorney's fees.
Would have been happier if she had some sort of a receipt or something from her Cash App, because she very quickly changed the $1,200 to $950.
She was honest.
I think the right.
Albert Lee is suing pilot instructor Ed Meyer for damage resulting from Ed moving his plane.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2145, Lee versus Meyer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lee, you are an amateur pilot?
Yes, I was yes.
And you owned your own plane?
I bought it to train in, yes.
When did you purchase the plane?
In, I believe, April of 2021.
Did you buy it new or used?
I bought it used.
What kind of plane is it?
It's a Cirrus SR-22, 2010 type Golf.
What did you pay for it?
I paid $420,000 for it, I believe.
Is there a mortgage on the...
Yes, there is.
How much?
It's $2,204 per month.
You paid $425,000 for the plane?
Yeah, I put a down payment on it. The outstanding balance is $347,000. The payment per month is $2,022.
I don't need the payment per month. I just wanted to know what you paid for it and how much you put into the plane.
Yes.
The defendant is a pilot, licensed pilot, and he was giving you some training on the plane.
Certified flight instructor, yes.
It is your claim that at some point, you'll tell me when, that the defendant was operating the plane by himself. You weren't there, and he was moving it from one part of the FBO to another part, and he hit a cone and caused substantial damage to the propeller and the engine. And while you had your insurance did cover some of it, according to you, it did not cover all of the expenses, and you want Mr. Meyer to be responsible for that. So it's a simple question. Mr. Meyer, do you remember the date that you were operating the plane when Mr. Lee was not there?
Yes.
What date?
It was in April sometime.
April of 2022?
Correct.
Do you remember the date, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
What date?
It's April 22nd.
Would that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And from what I read in the papers, Mr. Meyer had in fact taken you out, but then the weather got bad. You decided that you would make your way home and that he would get the plane home when the weather was better.
Correct.
And that was on or about April 22nd.
I flew home on a commercial flight the day before on April 21st.
And you stayed with the plane.
Yes.
Now, would you agree, Mr. Meyer, that if in fact you hit an object with the plane, it would be your responsibility?
Yes.
Because it would mean that there was some sort of negligence involved.
Right.
And then there would be the issue of damages. Mr. Lee, you were not present when this incident happened.
I was not.
Not present.
I was not present. I was able.
No, you were not present.
I was not present.
That's the answer. Was this witness present?
He was not present, but he was the one responsible for procuring the evidence on what happened and how the propeller was damaged.
Who does he work for?
He has his own flight school, and he also manages my airplane in terms of the maintenance and the upkeep.
Okay. Could you step up, please? Tell me your last name.
Last name is Williams.
Mr. Williams, were you charged with gathering the evidence to determine what happened to the plane on the 22nd of April?
Yes, I was.
And you're paid a monthly fee by the plaintiff to manage his plane.
That's correct.
Did you retain the defendant as an instructor, or did Mr. Lee?
That was both decided by Mr. Lee and Mr. Myers to fly for him.
But you
He's
did
an
not.
independent contractor. At that.
You did not have anything to do with, as the manager of the plane, you didn't have anything to do with selecting Mr. Meyer.
I did select Mr. Meyer to fly with Albert.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Because were you the one who introduced him
That's
to Mr. Meyer?
That's correct.
When, Mr. Lee, did you start to work with Mr. Meyer?
It was probably a prior flight where we flew to San Francisco for a business meeting I had. After that, I believe it was...
In what month?
Roughly about the same month.
In April?
Yeah, in
so
April.
You didn't know him for a long time?
No, not very long.
I'm going to get back to you in a minute, Mr. Williams. Prior to the defendant, had anybody else been an instructor for you?
Yes. Clinton was my primary instructor, but I flew with some other instructors as well.
But it wasn't until the month that this incident occurred that you had been connected with the defendant?
Correct.
Okay. Now, sir, how were you advised that the plane that you managed was in an accident?
I received a phone call from Ed saying that there was a problem.
From whom?
From Mr. Myers, that there was a problem with the aircraft after he taxied and did the run-up and returned the aircraft back to Signature in Las Vegas. We notified and contacted a
Did you ask, what you would usually ask is what happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Just a second, and what did he say to you?
He said that he was having instrument problems with the aircraft and he wasn't able to take off, so he returned the aircraft. At that point in time, I contacted a Cirrus Service Center. I had 2 technicians go out and look at the aircraft, see what was wrong. At the time, the technicians found that they...
Don't tell me what they found.
Okay.
You can't tell me what they found. It's hearsay.
They send me pictures of the damage of the propeller.
May I see the photographs? Okay, so that's a fresh damage.
Correct.
Can I scroll this?
Yes, you may.
Or it's just one? Okay, so you have a picture of that. You have a picture of the cone that has a slice in it.
Correct, that's the object he hit. We also have a video showing the plane taxi and hitting the cone at the...
I'd like to see that as well.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what we got.
As you can see where the...
Just one second, Mr. Meyer, is that a fair and accurate representation of where the plane was before you moved it?
It should be on the last, on the far left side of that Learjet.
Okay. Oh. Mr. Meyer, do you see that you went over a cone?
It's interesting. I didn't even notice there was a cone.
You may not notice it, but you see it now.
Yes.
Okay.
Plane's pilot instructor, Ed Meyer, is responsible for damage after Ed moved Albert's plane.
Okay.
In all of my years of flying, which is pretty significant, I was an airline pilot too, I've never, ever experienced that in my life.
Okay, but you see it now.
Yes.
It's not an on purpose. It's, you know, that's why they call them accidents. We don't mean for them to happen.
Right.
We don't mean for them to happen, but you do see that the plane did hit a cone.
Right.
Okay, and I have photographs of the cone that has a slice in it, and the same kind of slice from one of the propellers. Now, so that's conceded that Mr. Meyer did, in fact, hit the cone, which in all probability caused damage to the plane, caused damage to the propeller. Now, tell me about your insurance.
The insurance covered the propeller. They covered the teardown of the engine. When something strikes the propeller, they have to tear apart the engine, make sure the components...
Do you have those,
that
paperwork for me? I'd like to see it.
Okay, so here is the insurance-covered portion, and here is my covered portion that I had to come out of pocket to pick up the plane.
Okay.
And I can explain both invoices. And if you flip to the last page, that'll have the total. Insurance covered about 60-something thousand for the propeller and the engine teardown.
Okay, so the damaged propeller, Mr. Williams, causes you to have to take apart the engine, fix the engine if there was damage to the engine. Am I correct?
That's correct. The FAA requires anytime you strike an object with a propeller, the engine has to be inspected in the component parts. So they
Component parts of the engine?
Yeah, with the damage, potential damage of the engine. Internal damage that could be caused by striking an object.
Okay, the insurance covered how much, sir? Mr. Lee?
It's, sorry, it's on the invoice 60, I think it was 63,000, 64,000. It's on the last page.
The last page shows
a deposit of
$63,000.
Yes, that's it.
The deposit was 40, balance due was 23. Did the insurance company pay the entire
This entire
$63,000. This is what was submitted to them.
Yes.
Okay, now I'd like you to take a look at this, Mr. Meyer. No, I'm going to actually ask Mr. Williams to take a look at this document. These are the items, Mr. Williams, that Mr. Lee says were uncovered. I would like you to go through all those items and tell me which of those items relate to the engine and which do not.
Okay, is this the total?
Carefully, because I'm going to potentially ask you about each individual thing, because there looks to me like some things that bear no relation to an engine.
Okay, so most of the items that you see that are airworthiness on the airframe are the items that need to be inspected or replaced from the teardown. So your item 1, item 2, 3, 4, item 5, 6, 7, 8. These are all items that the repair shop goes through the engine and assesses whether it needs.
Well, tell me how the brakes would be impacted.
I don't think
impacted by hitting the.
Which invoice?
And I don't know, but how brakes would be impacted by hitting a nose cone.
Brake lining, I don't know what that is.
Okay. Yeah, some of these items, Your Honor, such as one of these items, the brake lines, as you pointed out, is probably not part of the.
Well, that's what I want you to go through, sir.
Okay.
Do you understand? I want you to take a marker, a pen, and circle, because I don't know a whole lot about airplanes, but I know a little bit about airplanes. I know what's routine maintenance and what has to be taken care of, because a plane either falls on its nose or falls on its tail, both of which I've experienced.
Well, this is a small invoice. This is not your. This is a 12.
Mr. Williams, don't ask him. I didn't ask you to have a conference with him.
Okay.
I asked
No,
you to look at that. You're the management company. I want you to strike those items that are not related to this accident and go through them very carefully because...
Can I make a
No.
comment? Okay.
Nope.
To you directly.
Nope.
Okay.
Can I ask you something?
Can you ask me something?
Yeah. Well, they should tell you those cones are made of plastic.
I don't care. They're heavy cones. You hit the cone. And the plane flew perfectly fine before you hit the cone. It didn't run after you hit the cone. You don't have to be a genius to figure out the cone caused, your hitting of the cone caused damage to that plane. I mean, you're not talking about flying a 747. You're talking about a little this is a single prop plane.
Right.
Yeah. Me, they like those planes you put together, we used to put together with rubber bands. I wouldn't put my behind in one of those planes for all the money in the world.
The only items I can see, Your Honor, are 2 items that may not be related to the accident, items 7 and 8.
Okay, may I have that back, please, sir? And you are familiar with planes, sir, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying is item
The circled item.
7 and 8.
Correct.
So we have
There's a couple of invoices.
we have right and left main gear, but which is 143 plus 270 plus 66. What about item 9? Pitch, trim, jab, nut, loose. What is that?
Probably what they do during the inspection and the tear down, they go through the aircraft itself, make sure it's airworthy. So they probably caught another item or two. You can probably put that on item that's wasn't part of the accident.
The big ticket items, adding up all of these items, Mr. Meyer, that probably have no relation to the accident which you caused.
Correct.
Still bring the total amount to more than this court's jurisdictional limit. Can you tell me, sir, why your insurance, Mr. Williams, let's go back to you. You manage this plane. Can you tell me why Mr. Lee's insurance didn't cover all the damage to the plane?
A lot of the prospective renters or instructors that everybody uses, or we used in this case, carry their own insurance for this type of incident. Their insurance covers basically downtime, loss of operation, or in this case...
You mean Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Would have his own, do you have your own insurance?
No.
No.
Albert Lee is accusing pilot instructor Ed Meyer of hitting a cone and damaging his plane. Ed says Albert was already paid by his insurance company.
Okay. Mr. Williams, you were the one who recommended
That's
Mr.
correct,
Meyer.
we did.
Don't you do a check to find out if they have their own insurance before you recommend someone?
He had insurance, but it was lapsed.
Well, that he didn't have insurance. I get that all the time. If you have insurance that's lapsed, then you have no insurance.
Yeah. As a flight school, our instructors are required to carry the insurance.
Okay, but that didn't happen here.
That's correct.
So you're lucky that he's not suing you because you managed the plane for him. And you recommended him, Mr. Williams, you know. When you have a management company that manages your plane, they're supposed to make certain that if you have a certain kind of plane, that you have pilots certified to fly those kinds of planes. And if they give me a list of pilots and those pilots aren't certified to fly the kind of plane that I might have, then it's the fault of the management company.
In this case here, the plaintiff and the defendant were working together as far as their payment and the fees they were going to charge.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. They may have been working head to head. I mean, it was Mr. Meyer's fault, but I'm just telling you that Mr. Lee relies on your advice. What business are you in, Mr. Lee?
I do commercial real estate. I sell shopping centers and office buildings.
Okay. That's not his business. That's why he hires you. And if he hires you, he asks you for recommendations as to where to get the plane repaired for an instructor. Now, the fact that he may pay him independently, he's relied on you for information. So I suggest, Mr. Williams, that you tighten up your ship a little bit. Mr. Meyer, you're responsible to the plaintiff for the damage that you caused his plane. Why did you let your insurance lapse?
It had lapsed. I just didn't even realize the fact that it had lapsed. I just realized the fact that when this came about, that's what happened.
Well, when was the last time you paid premiums?
Probably about a year before that.
Anything else you want to tell me, Mr. Meyer? You owe him $10,000. You caused the damage. You have to fix it. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I understand her point, the fact that what she saw.
I thought she's very fair.
These cones are made out of plastic.
It's hard to believe. It sounds like a gunshot when he hit the cone and triggered several warnings. And for him to say he had no idea, it's a little bit hard to believe.
They don't have much weight to them.
With the loud bang after you hit it, it's quite obvious that you should have stopped and shut down and inspect the damage.
There normally is never a cone at the 12 o'clock position. They're at the left side and the right side.
They place cones all the way around the aircraft, and it's part of your responsibility as a pilot in command to do a walk around pre-flight, make sure there's no object in front of your aircraft.
When I taxied out halfway down, that's when I recognized there was an ICAS message that came on.
I finally got it back, and no more student pilots won't let any CFIs fly for a while.
You know what I thought about in this case, Sarah? That lay people have to look at something, lay people, and while I'm a judge and have certain expertise, I have no expertise in reading slips that show what's been done on a car or an airplane or a train or a boat.
But we have common sense.
But we have common sense. And your brakes are not part of an engine. Yeah. You know, you have an engine job, and then you have a brake job, and you have a...
I saw where you were going.
different kind. And, you know, if you have an accident that impacts on the right driver's door, if you put in a new wheel casing in the left rear door, well, that has nothing to do with an accident.
Probably just an oversight. He did state that those two items were not part of, you know.
He did.
He did at the end. But it just feels a little uneasy when they try and slip those things in there, that just common sense doesn't ring true, that it comes from the
Yeah, you know, front, back, you know, the head of a horse, the tail of a horse, it doesn't fit in. And there's really no difference between not having insurance when you're driving a car and not having insurance as a flight instructor. Yeah, that's pretty serious.
I would think there would be a more rigorous check on that before you get behind an aircraft, the wheel of an aircraft.
Absolutely. You would think that there would be. Yeah. There's a flaw in the system someplace. Okay, I'm glad nobody was hurt.
হ্যালো ফ্রেন্ডস, ওয়েলকাম ব্যাক টু মাই চ্যানেল। কেমন আছো তোমরা সবাই? আশা করি সবাই খুব ভালো আছো, আর আমিও খুব ভালো আছি। তো তোমরা অনেকেই জানতে চেয়েছো আমার ব্রণ দূর করার জন্য যে স্কিন কেয়ার রুটিনটা ফলো করেছি, যে প্রোডাক্টগুলো ইউজ করেছি, সেই রুটিনটা আজকে আমি তোমাদের সঙ্গে শেয়ার করব। তো দেখো যে 3টা প্রোডাক্ট আমি হাতে নিয়ে বসে পড়েছি, দাঁড়িয়ে পড়েছি ভিডিওতে। তো এই 3টা প্রোডাক্ট দিয়ে বেসিক্যালি হচ্ছে আমি আমার ব্রণ দূর করার জন্য স্কিন কেয়ারটি করেছিলাম। তো এখন আলহামদুলিল্লাহ আমার মুখের ব্রণগুলো চলে গেছে, তোমরা দেখেই পাচ্ছ। তো যাই হোক, প্রথম হচ্ছে আমি সকালে এই ফেস ওয়াশটা ইউজ করতাম, যেটার নাম হচ্ছে সিরাবি অ্যাকনে কন্ট্রোল ক্লিনজার, যেটাতে রয়েছে 2% স্যালিসাইলিক অ্যাসিড অ্যাকনে ট্রিটমেন্ট। এটাতে আরও ভালো ভালো কিছু ইনগ্রিডিয়েন্ট রয়েছে, যেটা কিনা আমাদের ব্রণের উপরে ট্রিটমেন্ট করতে সাহায্য করে। তো এটা হচ্ছে প্রথমে সকালে মুখটা ধুয়ে নেবে, এরপরে হচ্ছে এই ময়শ্চারাইজারটা ইউজ করেছি। তো এই ময়শ্চারাইজারটার নাম হচ্ছে কি সিরাবি ডেইলি ময়শ্চারাইজিং লোশন, যেটা হচ্ছে তোমার স্কিনকে খুব ভালো মতো ময়শ্চারাইজ করবে এবং কি স্কিনের পোর্সগুলোকে বন্ধ করবে না, এবং কি ব্রণের উপর লাগালেও কোনো সমস্যা হবে না। এটা হচ্ছে দিনের স্কিন কেয়ার গেল। এবার হচ্ছে রাতের স্কিন কেয়ারটা শেয়ার করি। তো রাতের স্কিন কেয়ারে আবারও সেম ভাবে ফেস ওয়াশটা দিয়ে মুখটাকে ধুয়ে নিয়েছি খুব ভালো মতো। এরপরে হচ্ছে এই সিরামটা ইউজ করছি, যেটার নাম হচ্ছে সিরাবি রেটিনল সিরাম, সিরাবি রিসার্ফিন রেটিনল সিরাম, যেটাতে হচ্ছে রেটিনল রয়েছে। তো রেটিনলটা কিন্তু খুবই অল্প পরিমাণে রয়েছে। তোমরা জানো যে রেটিনল কিন্তু একটা মানে পাওয়ারফুল হচ্ছে অ্যাসিডের মতো। তো যেটা হচ্ছে তোমার সব ধরনের স্কিনে কিন্তু শ্যুট করে না, তবে হচ্ছে কম পরিমাণে দিতে দিতে কিন্তু আস্তে আস্তে স্কিনের মধ্যে শ্যুট করে। তো এটা কিন্তু তারা ওইভাবে তৈরি করেছে যাতে করে নতুন অবস্থায়ও তারা ইউজ করতে পারে। আর রেটিনলটা ইউজ করার ফলে কিন্তু স্কিনের পিম্পলটা কিন্তু চিরতরে চলে যায়, মানে কখনো আর হওয়ার সম্ভাবনা থাকে না, এবং কিন্তু দাগটা দূর করতে সাহায্য করে। ওই কারণে বেসিক্যালি আমি রেটিনলে শিফট করি। আর রেটিনলে ইউজ করার পরে প্রথম 2-3 দিন একটু হচ্ছে পার্সিংয়ের সমস্যা হয়েছিল, মানে ভিতরে যে পিম্পলগুলো ছিল সেগুলো বেরিয়ে গেছে বেসিক্যালি। এরপরে আস্তে 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 কমতে শুরু করেছে এবং দাগটাও কিন্তু অনেকটা কমিয়ে দিয়েছে এই রেটিনল সিরামটা। এরপরে হচ্ছে সিরামটা অল্প পরিমাণে পুরো মুখে লাগিয়ে নেবে, দেন হচ্ছে আবার ময়শ্চারাইজার লাগিয়ে নেবে, তাহলে কিন্তু স্কিন কেয়ারটি কমপ্লিট। তো আশা করছি তোমাদেরকে বোঝাতে পেরেছি। ভিডিওটি ভালো লাগলে অবশ্যই লাইক করবে, চ্যানেলটা অবশ্যই সাবস্ক্রাইব করবে। সো টাটা, বাই বাই।